This podcast is a proud member of Pod Nation Media Network.
Live from the Kaiju studios in beautiful Ogasawara, it's the Monster Island Film Vault, episode 114, Ultraman Gaia, The Battle in Hyperspace versus Neil Riebe. Hello, Kaiju Lovers, and welcome to the Monster Island Film Vault, a podcast seeking entertainment and enlightenment through tokusatsu. I am your host, Monster Island's film curator, Nate Marchand. Yes, Jimmy, I'm still the film curator here on Monster Island. You know, a promotion would be nice, but you know what? Okay, you can come with me and we'll talk to the board about giving me a raise, all right? All right? All right? You think you can help with that? I'm sure you can. Right. I'll talk to Raymond and Gary. All right, well, get right on that. Anyway, I'm not here alone. Nope, as usual, I brought a friend with me today for our latest episode, none other than fellow Kaiju author, G-Fest panelist, and everyone's favorite old guy. That never gets old. Badumtish? Huh? Oh, come on. Come on, Jimmy. I don't appreciate your attitude. All right. But Neil Riebe, ladies and gentlemen. Sir, unmute yourself.
Okay, I'm waiting for permission to come out of my waiting room here to get the studio.
It's just like, dude, you can unmute your microphone. It's okay. You're allowed to come. You're allowed to come out of your cave. All right.
Yeah, remember, I'm the Kaiju Codger. I'm very slow on the uptake.
The Kaiju Codger. Yes. I'm with Jimmy. That needs to become your new social media, your persona.
Okay, I'll go on Facebook and change that right now.
Yeah, the Neil Riebe, the Kaiju Codger. In my day, we had piano wire that would move tails and necks, and Yongari is peak Kaiju cinema. Its only competition is Godzilla versus Megalon.
Yeah, well, as they say today, no lies detected.
Yeah, no lies detected. Yes, Jimmy, I know. We love Jet Jaguar around here.
Well, he's getting really popular nowadays.
Yeah, so. He at least outside of Japan, he is, from what I've been able to tell. I don't think Toho fully realized how popular Jet Jaguar was outside of Japan. And then when they found out, they're like, "You like him?" Okay, here's some toys. And everyone's like, "Yes, we love them." Okay, we'll make you some more. Because we like money. Even if it comes from silly robots.
Well, he was featured heavily in one of those Godzilla shorts, where he fought Godzilla. Then the next, I think he was the first guest monster to have his own two-parter.
Yeah.
Came back the following year to help Godzilla fight King Ghidorah.
Well, yeah. That's how we know you're the Kaiju Codger, because you say Ghidorah.
Well, that was spelled back in the 70s. And the 60s.
It was called Ghidorah.
I still stand by that spelling today as the correct spelling.
As the correct spelling. No one can agree on how to spell that monster's name. I think even the scientists here on the island have disagreements.
There's as many spellings as he has heads.
Yeah, I think he has more spellings than he has heads.
Of course, maybe each spelling goes to each head.
Oh. Instead of Ichi, Ni, and Kevin, it's Ghidra, Ghidorah, and Ghidorah.
Yes. That's why people tune into this show, to learn these important facts.
Yeah,
you will not hear it anywhere else.
Yes. I pity anybody who looked at that name and said, Ghidra? Ghidra? What is his name? Ghidorah?
Yeah. By the way, he's not in our current film that we're here to talk about.
No, it is not. But how did you get here today? It hasn't been that long. It has only been a short time since you came back to talk about the return of Godzilla, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, wow. I just, the temperatures in Wisconsin dipped below zero, so I just got the first ticket I could find. I didn't care what the cost was. I just flew out here right away into the tropics here on Monster Island.
I don't know if this is quite tropics, but I also know that you're a big fan. You're a big fan of Ichiro's Airlines. So.
Okay, well, let me put it this way. Your Tauntaun will not die before he gets the first marker here, as opposed to Black Ride. He would survive.
You're making Jimmy happy with those references.
I suppose, since he says his sound effects and his voice has some connection there with the Empire.
Sound effects? That is a real person there, sir. How dare you? How dare you assume that he is just a sound effect? So you're making him angry. All right.
Oh, I'm sorry, Jimmy. I'm sorry. Yeah. I'd say the sound of your voice there. It's just so much of a certain character from The Empire Strikes Back.
The droids? I've heard people say that he sounds like a droid. He sounds perfectly fine to me. I'm just saying. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, that's probably my hearing aid just ain't picking it up and getting a lot of stories.
Hearing aid. Well, how was your trip? I've heard that it's been a little bit of a bumpy road for Ichiro to get his airlines out to Monster Island.
I got him some pretty good vacuum tubes there. So he was really pleased, and so I got I got to sit in first class.
There you go. But yes. I have you here today as we continue our...
Yeah, you wouldn't believe who the stewardess was for first class.
Oh, okay. Let's hear that first.
It was Gaia herself. Yeah, she actually got a day job. She left Infinite Island. And,
what?
She wants to earn enough money to come, go back to Tokyo and catch up with her old friends over there. She hadn't seen for a while.
Dang, isn't she getting close to retirement age at this point?
well, some of these airlines don't pay very well,
Oh my gosh, that was not on my bingo card today. You might want to let Brendan Morley, the autistic lizard pro, know about that. I think he's got a thing for Dio.
Well,
I know your wife looks like her. Okay, jeez. You were saying.
Well, she aged like fine wine, so I can understand why he feels what he does.
Yeah, I understand. But anyway, speaking of taking trips, we need to we need to continue our...
When super is just not enough.
The Ultra Journey. So today we're getting into yet another Ultraman movie, and it's actually one you like.
Yes.
When I was planning this season out, and you're like, well, what are you going to do next season? And I'm like, I'm going to do Ultraman movies. You got any that you like? Well, there's one.
Yeah, well, it's a problem with most of those Ultraman movies. They kind of feel like sort of like an after party when the series is over with, where the cast, the crew get together and they just kind of horse around.
Yeah, that's what the modern ones are. But back then they were releasing the movies in the middle of the shows.
Oh, I was not aware of that.
Yeah, but they release them at about the same time because they release them during spring break for the kids.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
but back in the Heisei era, well, Showa and Heisei era of Ultraman, they were doing 50 episode series and not 25. Now they're 25 episodes. So when they put the movie out, it's exactly like you said. It's like the after party for the show.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So what I really liked about Bell in Hyperspace, it was an actual movie. It's something you can show, your friends who normally don't watch Ultraman but want to see movies. Like, hey, why don't you watch this? Because it's, it takes itself, serious enough, and it developed its character. You don't need any prior knowledge of Gaia to understand what's going on.
Yeah, it is Ultraman Gaia: The Battle in Hyperspace.
Yes,
and it's a tie-in with the then current Ultra series, which was Ultraman Gaia. part of the Tiga Dyna Gaia trilogy of series, which all had their own corresponding movies. I am very happy that, because this has actually been released outside of Japan twice. First by, you'll probably get some more details about this in a moment in the entertaining info dump, but it was first released on DVD in, I think it was, but it was the early 2000s. I know that much. And it was released by Image Entertainment, and they wisely shortened the title. Yeah. Which I wish they had done for the last one, because it's still Ultraman Tiga and Ultraman Gaia, Warriors of the Star of Light, and it's really only an Ultraman Dyna movie.
Yes, yeah.
Because Tiga's barely in it. Well, this one actually was called Ultraman Tiga, Ultraman Dyna, and Ultraman Gaia, the battle in hyperspace. Or actually, it was the decisive battle in hyperspace. And I think they looked at it and they just thought, you know what? Gaia is the only one who's that important.
Yeah.
So we're just going to call it Ultraman Gaia. And it'll just be battle in hyperspace. We don't need decisive battle in hyperspace. It's okay. And then it was included as part of the Ultraman Gaia release by Mill Creek Entertainment, now Alliance Entertainment. It's funny how fast they changed that. Since I started. Yeah, kind of wild. But yeah, it's the one that you like. I guess you haven't seen Shin Ultraman. Or do you not like Shin Ultraman?
Oh, no, I never really thought Shin Ultraman is your typical Ultraman movie because it was not tied to a specific TV series.
Not all the Ultraman movies were, but sure.
Oh, I always thought that all the Ultraman movies, one way or another, were tied to the television show.
I've covered a few actually so far this season that were not connected to television shows. Ultraman Story, I haven't covered that one, but you could say that one that had a bunch of pre-existing characters, so I guess that one would count. And it used stock footage from the shows. But Ultraman The Adventure Begins, that was its own thing. Ultraman Zerth 1 and 2, those were their own things.
So that they had no they could be considered connected to the Ultraman universe. So
yes.
Isn't Shin Ultraman because isn't Shin Ultraman pretty much its own thing? Like it's not even connected with the Ultraman universe. It's completely encapsulated. So if they were going to do some kind of like go to the land of light, you're not going to see Shin Ultraman with all the other Ultras.
Yeah, I can understand that.
So that's how I kind of I recognize him as Ultraman, but he's not like part of the gang.
Yeah,
at least not yet.
At least not yet. Although the characters from Adventure Begins, they've had live action versions of them made now because that was an animated movie, but now they have suits.
Yeah,
and they've shown up in live action stuff and on stage shows. But anyway, yes, Jimmy, we'll get on with it. But
as I said, Gaia is. I'm sorry, I mean talk over the top of you, but Gaia is one I definitely liked quite a bit. And one thing that they did well, if you kind of remember when this came out, 1999, because prior there was three other kaiju movies that were kid oriented that came out: Mothra 1, 2, and 3. And one thing I really did not like how they did with Mothra 1 and 2 is that they kind of presented those two movies like, okay, the kids are protagonists, so let's make the film childish, which I thought was a mistake. Whereas with Gaia, okay, they had child protagonists, but they didn't make the movie childish.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that's one thing I thought that you kind of figure that, the fact that they did it right when it was okay to do it wrong, at least in my opinion, wrong. They chose to do it right.
So, somewhere Donnie is crying.
Yeah. Well, okay. I'll say one thing, because remember I said Mothra 1 and 2. I didn't say 3. 3 they course corrected, and even though they had child protagonists, it was not a childish film.
Mm-hmm.
That was like my contention. Like, I thought, okay, why they kind of like, especially Gamera or Mothra 2, really kind of dumbing this down. When like you look at you got the Gamera movies, which have the reputation of being like these silly kid movies, but look what the actual product turns into. It was a very serious drama. So it's kind of like okay, fine, you have either a monster from a kid's film or a child protagonist. Doesn't mean you have to make the movie childish or ridiculous, you can still do a serious presentation of your subject matter.
Mhm.
And that's of course, now when I say right and wrong, I'm talking purely out of my own personal prejudice. I'm being a Roger Ebert, Gene Siskel over here. You know? Yeah.
Well, you just don't want to admit that they learned all the right lessons from those old Gamera movies. I know you're a Kenny, all right? You don't need to bring it up all the time.
Well, Jimmy's one of the best Kennys from the Showa era.
Yeah, you're not wrong, but don't inflate his ego. I said not to. Okay, keep your ego where the sun don't shine. All right. Anyway, I'm done. I'm done with that. So yes, we'll be getting into that and our Toku topic, especially if you have seen Battle in Hyperspace, because it's a multiverse story. So we'll be talking about multiverse theory. And boy, it was more of a rabbit hole than I thought it would be. There are some people who take it very seriously, and there are other people who are like, this is silly. And we'll get into all the pros and cons of both sides. But first, as I am contractually obligated, I need to read the entertaining info dump to get everybody caught up on all the important details related to this movie. Gamu Takayama is the passionate and heroic host for Ultraman Gaia, an ultra said to be the manifestation of the Earth's will. Initially, he appears as a TV character, but later the real Gamu/Gaia is wished into the real world using the Red Sphere. A confused Gamu is at first motivated to return to his universe, and after doing so, he goes back to save the other world from destruction. The heroic and determined Ultraman Dyna and Ultraman Tiga are summoned via Tsutomu's wish with the Red Sphere to assist Gaia in battling King of Mons. It is unclear if they are the real Ultras or constructs. The aforementioned King of Mons is a malevolent and relentless kaiju created by Hiroshi's evil desire for the strongest monster using the Red Sphere, which brought a clay model molded by Hiroshi to life. Fueled by the boy's gleeful lust for destruction, the beast goes on a rampage throughout the city for no other reason than to destroy. Basilisk and Skulla are obedient and aggressive kaiju spawned from King of Mons' body as minions to fight Gaia. Basilisk then fights Ultraman Dyna, and Skulla battles Ultraman Tiga when the Ultra Heroes appear. The deceptive and sadistic Satan Bizor is an alien villain Gaia fights in an episode of the TV series viewed by Tsutomu and later in the real world. He's motivated only to destroy. Gonkyu and COV2 make cameos in a stock footage flashback. The unconfident but brave Tsutomu Niboshi is an average kid who copes with his struggles at school by watching Ultraman Gaia. He uses the Red Sphere to summon Gamu by making a wish, and when Hiroshi uses it to wreak havoc, Tsutomu feels guilty and does whatever he can to stop King of Mons. Lisa Nanase is a mysterious and melancholy girl who befriends Tsutomu. It's later revealed she is the interface for the Red Sphere who witnessed the destruction of many worlds brought about by the sphere, and now she wants to stop it from destroying this world. The annoyed but loyal Yu Hirama is Tsutomu's best friend who tags along for the adventure. Unfortunately, when he touches the Red Sphere, he is momentarily corrupted by its influence, causing the creation of Skulla and Basilisk. Hiroshi Kashimata is a malicious and hateful older student who bullies Tsutomu for being childish with sadistic glee. His greedy desire for the strongest monster manifests King of Mons when he steals the Red Sphere, and only after Hiroshi is freed from its influence is he shocked by the destruction he'd caused. The sycophantic and subservient Wataru Kosugi and Kohei Nakahara are Hiroshi's loyal toadies who go along with his schemes. While the human and kaiju plotlines start off as separate, they quickly converge thanks to the Red Sphere, which binds them. Indeed, the kaiju plotline stems from the character's use of the sphere. Therefore, the kaiju plotline wouldn't exist without the human plotline. The film begins with Gaia fighting Satan Bizor, but it's revealed to be a TV show. Later, the alien is summoned to the real world by Hiroshi's wish on the Red Sphere, but he is easily defeated by Ultraman Gaia. Hiroshi uses the sphere to bring a clay figure he molded to life as King of Mons, who rampages through the city. Ultraman Gaia fights the kaiju, but the monster only gets stronger. Tsutomu fights Hiroshi for the sphere, wresting it from his hands and freeing the bully and his toadies of its influence, but Yu picks up the sphere and spawns Skulla and Basilisk from King of Mons. The three monsters overpower Gaia. The battle destroys the school, separating the kids from the sphere. With encouragement from Lisa, Tsutomu is able to recover the sphere and tries to wish the monsters away, but the sphere can't undo wishes. The problem is solved when Tsutomu wishes for Gaia to not be alone, summoning Ultraman Tiga and Ultraman Dyna. Tiga and Dyna battle Skulla and Basilisk respectively, while Gaia fights King of Mons, the Ultras destroying all three monsters. At Lisa's urging, Tsutomu wishes for the red sphere to vanish forever, undoing all the damage it had wrought and sending Gamu back to his world. The script by Keiichi Hasegawa is a fairly simple children's sci-fi adventure story, but it tackles some deeper themes than what is typically seen in a kids' movie. It has a core group of characters while letting the Ultraman Gaia TV cast have cameos. Subplots are minimal to keep the story focused in its short runtime. Super Eye Productions veteran Kazuya Konaka returns to direct the special effects, which, like his work on Warriors of the Star of Light, is consistent with the TV series but also cinematic. CGI is used for some fantastical backgrounds, aircraft, and sometimes the monsters, while suitmation and miniatures are primarily used elsewhere. Said CGI, while an improvement over the previous films, is used more sparingly, so it has aged slightly better. Wire work is also used with the Ultraman suit actors to perform stunts, such as zero-G floating. King of Mons is an impressive kaiju in design and execution, arguably one of the franchise's best creatures, what with its primary colors and terrifying visage. Overall, despite the fast production, Battle in Hyperspace holds its own with contemporary tokusatsu of the time. This is a fairly dark story with moderate gravitas that is offset by some humor and a happy ending. With its monkey's paw, MacGuffin, kaiju, giant heroes, and parallel universes, it's a fantastical science fiction film. Battle in Hyperspace was unique when released because it took place in the real world and established the Ultra series as a multiverse that characters could travel throughout. This gave it a metatextual commentary on the impact of the franchise on Japanese pop culture. To that end, it was a tie-in with the then current series and arguably a standalone film. Because of these elements, the film established a style for the Ultra series. The multiverse would become a staple, especially in the New Generation Heroes and Reiwa eras, and several later Ultra series films would play with variations of the alternate universe concept. The film was made as a tie-in with the concurrent Ultraman Gaia TV series and released around spring break so as to entertain the series' core audience of children while perhaps making a nostalgic appeal to their parents. Implicitly, by extension, the film was made to sell toys. It's possible that, given its subtle ties to the series and new protagonists, it was intended to be accessible to a general audience. Budget and box office figures are unavailable, but after early screenings January 29th, February 8th, and February 14th, it was released in Shochiku theaters March 6th, 1999, and later expanded to 20 more cinemas owned by Shochiku and Maicall. This seems to indicate it was successful. It is generally liked by critics and fans. The only change made when it was released on DVD in America May 14, 2002 by Image Entertainment was it was dubbed into English. Several forces are at play in this film. Tsutomu uses the Ultraman Gaia TV series as a form of escapism, which puts him at odds with his mother and bullies, who think he's being childish. Hiroshi believes he is too mature for kids stuff like kaiju, but he quickly slips into his fandom when he sees monsters can be made real by the sphere, indicating an internal conflict within him. The selfish desires of several characters that are manifested by the red sphere create the story's core problems. Tsutomu tries to combat them by making more altruistic wishes. Lisa has developed a conscience but is powerless to stop the abuses of the red sphere's use. Gamu is forcibly taken into the real world and becomes a stranger in a strange land. This is most evident when he's chased by a crowd of kids who think he is the TV character. Sadism, as exemplified by Hiroshi, clashes with peace and safety when he unleashes King of Mons on the city. Battle in hyperspace is rich with themes. Tsutomu learns that even if he is ordinary, he can be brave and do extraordinary things. Tsutomu and you befriend Lisa and get her to open up. Gamu heroically leaps into action to save a world other than his own. Hiroshi's sadism is shown to be destructive to himself and others. Tsutomu's faith is rewarded by the appearance of Tiga and Dinah to help Gaia. Lisa finds redemption in stopping the destructive cycle of the Red Sphere. Tsutomu even sacrifices his friendship with Lisa to help end it and is rewarded with Lisa's return. Most importantly, selfishness is denounced with a poignant lesson in the dangers of wishing thanks to the destruction caused by the Red Sphere. All right, let's dive into this surprisingly deep Ultra film with some Toku Talk. So, Neil, I have to ask, since this is apparently the one Ultraman movie that you like, how did you find this? How did you discover this movie? Did you watch Ultraman Gaia, the show?
Oh, well, okay. There's a little bit of history there if you want to sit through it.
Okay, let's hear
Of course, with me, everything's a little bit of history to get to be my age.
Yeah. Yeah.
See, it started back in 1977, if you can believe it.
With Star Wars?
no, first time I saw the original.
Oh, calm down,
Ultraman.
Jimmy. All right.
With the original Ultraman, and then they had that one episode with Gyrus, which you know was Godzilla. And Ultraman completely trounced on Godzilla. And I was just, completely traumatized by that. Even though I like Ultraman, I didn't like what they did to Godzilla, and I just kind of resented the whole Ultraman franchise for a good 40 years until finally I thought, Neil, it's been 40 years. They were just recycling a costume. Get over yourself. So I finally started to rewatch, trying to get caught up on Ultraman. And the first thing I got caught up on was Ultraman Tiga, and that was available on DVD. So I started ordering these DVDs on Amazon, and what was immediately available was Ultraman Tiga and then the Ultraman Gaia Battle in Hyperspace DVD. So I bought those sight unseen and checked them out. Thought, oh, this stuff is really good.
Wait. Were you getting the Mill Creek releases? Well, it's a Lion.
No, these are the original releases.
Oh my gosh, you got the original. How did you find you found the original Ultraman Tiga disc? Wow.
Yeah, this was all on Amazon.
Wow.
Before Mill Creek got involved. Yeah.
Wow. Do you still have both your kidneys after getting those?
Yeah. No, I didn't have to sell any body parts for that.
I was just because some of those older discs are stupid expensive.
Yeah, no. The thing is, like I said, this is kind of like before the aftermarket price shot through the roof. I was able to get those dirt cheap.
Wow.
And then I got Crunchyroll, a streaming service, and so I was able to. That's how I was able to sit and watch Tiga, Dinah, and Gaia all in succession because they had those available there. Yeah, and so, but although I had the Gaia movie before I actually seen the series.
Wow.
Battle in Hyperspace. So that's how I ended up discovering Gaia. As I finally decided to get over my resentment towards that one episode of Gyrus there, because I love Godzilla so much back in the 70s, and to see Godzilla get smashed like that was just
that
was just too much for me.
That is hate on a whole other level right there.
Yeah, and that's why I had a kind of face back. Like, this has been 40 years. Are you going to hold a grudge that long? I mean, come on, this is a good show, and you're just upset because of that one little 5-minute scene. Seriously?
Yeah. And then you discovered that Jiros wasn't the only Godzilla clone.
Yeah, there's Gomez.
There's Gomez, and then poor Baragon. Poor Baragon kept getting his head cut off and made into like 4 monsters.
Yeah,
there are jokes about that now.
Appearance on Destroy All Monsters, he just
that's why he could be in Destroy All Monsters, because he's like, I was 4 monsters on Ultraman and Ultra Q. They finally put my original head back on me.
Yeah,
I don't want to fight Ghidorah.
But he made it for the last 2 minutes of the picture. He just kind of very wearily waved at the camera. I'm here, guys. I made it. Is the movie over?
I don't want to die. Please. Oh,
so anyway, yeah. So that's that. Like I said, there's a bit of history behind that. But that's
it was the end of a 40-year grudge.
Mm-hmm. So Gaia was one of the first, of the new newer Ultramans I discovered.
Heisei Ultraman.
Yeah, so the 90s, and so
well, this might be a hot take for some people, but Heisei Ultraman might be best era of Ultraman.
Oh, yeah, I would definitely agree with that.
I mean, 90s. I love the original show, and I love Ultra 7. Return of Ultraman's pretty good. The 70s are whack.
Mm-hmm.
70s Ultraman is whack. Except for Return of Ultraman. That one's fine. No, Heisei Ultraman is probably my favorite era of Ultraman. That might be a hot take for some people.
Yeah, well, Ultraman really came back with a vengeance in the 90s because you had really good stories, really good music, and then they got really good monster designs. Every week they had a great design.
Oh, yeah.
And they're really taking advantage of the, kind of like all the technology and craftsmanship they had available at that time. And so instead of being sort of this baggy looking suit you had from the Showa era, I mean, he had some really nice, solid looking designs that weren't quite so real looking. They got a lot of surface detailing and so forth. And of course, getting back to our movie, I mean, that held true right for this film with the...
I was about to transition as to say, like, can we talk about King of Mons?
Yeah, King of Mons. Of course, when I hear King of Mons, they talk about Mons Belgian, where...
Yeah, was it Satan Beiser or something?
Yeah. No, let me ask you a quick question.
I've seen several different spellings of this thing's name, but but Satan Beiser just looks like it just looks like Zeton. Yeah, it looks like Zeton's it's psychotic cousin, basically, or sociopathic cousin.
If there was a mixed marriage between Metron and Zeton, there you are.
Yeah, there's you go. You heard it here first, folks. Satan Beiser is the love child of Metron and Zeton.
Yeah, well, cross species. It happens in Star Trek all the time. I mean, I think almost everyone had children with Vulcans.
Yeah, why not? Why not? But I will say, King of Mons. I will admit, I'm a massive Ultraman fan. I will generally, as my little tradition, whenever I finish an Ultraman series, or if a particular Ultraman's only in a movie or whatever, once I finish it, I go and get a toy of it as to kind of commemorate that occasion. I don't always do that with the Ultra Kaiju. King of Mons, very quickly, as I like doing. This is my second time watching the movie for the show, and as soon as it was over, I was like, "Where can I get a King of Mons figure?"
Yeah, he's an SH Monster Arts variety of him.
There is, and boy, it's expensive.
Oh, there is.
There is an SH Monster Arts King of Mons, and it's snazzy, but it's expensive. It's expensive. I think I'll be okay with a Bandai for now.
Kind of like the Gamera Legion level expensive of $200, $300.
Yeah, some of the listings I was finding, he was pricey. But
my Social Security check does not stretch that far.
He really has embraced this. Yeah. So King of Mons is fantastic, and I'm just gonna say it right now, because the immediate predecessor to this is Warriors of the Star of Light, which was the previous entry in the Ultra Journey. I much prefer King of Mons to the Queen Monera.
Yes, I would definitely concur with that.
Although I made an interesting observation with this one. In Warriors of the Star of Light, the monsters were suits, but all the no wait, I'm getting it wrong. The final monster was CGI, but all of the vehicles were miniatures. And in this one, it's the opposite.
Yeah,
all the vehicles are CGI, but the monster's a suit. Funny how that works.
Actually, Mods being a great design as it is, but his two little partners were pretty good too, particularly Skilla. He had kind of those Gigan
Yes,
side hand.
because he decided that he needed another one. He had to spawn some helpers. That's only a little weird.
Yeah, so those are some really nice creatures aside from Satan Bizor we saw in the very beginning. Yeah, so yeah, they had some really good monsters in this one. Really good design. Of course, that kind of gets to how the '90s they just were really crackerjack with their creature designs, really just knocking out of the ballpark.
They were really crackerjack.
Was that kind of a little?
I'm like, what? What are you talking about, sir? They were really.
Well, anyone over 50 knows what I'm talking about.
I know what crackerjacks are, but I'm like, what context is he using?
Well, back in the 40s, they used it all the time.
Yeah.
That's your grandparents. They'll
my grandparents are dead. I'm sorry, but yeah. Okay, this is weird. The Ultra Wiki calls that monster Skulla when Scylla makes way more sense because it's a Greek mythology reference. I am confused. I'm so confused. Although it says it comes from that, so why is he named Skulla on the Ultra? The Ultra Wiki is weird. The Ultra Wiki is right. And the other one is it was Basilisk, which I'm guessing is, let me guess, Basilisk? Is it from Basilisk? Is he going to tell me that? Come on, tell me it's Basilisk. Confirm that it's Basilisk. Doesn't say, but it does tell me that its roars came from Rodan.
I wonder if with Mons, get back to him, if he had the same designer as for Golza, if you remember from the very first Ultraman Tiga episode, because the mouth and even like some of the skin texture and coloring remind me of Golza. I don't know if.
Well, let's see.
Let's see.
Let me see. Oh, he was according to the Ultra Wiki, he was originally named King Kronos.
Yeah.
Alrighty. No, let me see. It is his designer, or at least this concept art, was by a guy named Hiroshi Maruyama. And he did work on Tiga. He says he was a character and kaiju designer on Ultraman Tiga, and he did design Golza. Nice call. Because it does list Golza as one of the monsters he designed. But he apparently did. He basically did all of them, from what I'm looking at.
Oh, okay.
But Hiroshi Maruyama. But yeah, I'm a big fan of the monsters in this one, and like I said, this is one of the few times like I'm gonna buy a figure of this particular monster. It's a wonderfully wild design. And as Ultra Kaiju tend to be, for King of Mons is just nuts. Not the most nuts I've seen in Ultraman, but still nuts enough. But he also looks like something that a kid's gonna come up with.
Mm-hmm.
Red and blue. He's got all these bone protrusions that almost look like teeth on his abdomen. He's got 3 red eyes. He almost looks like a Cyclops from some angles. Big, bony, golden wings.
Well, the eyes are what really do it, because he's got 3 eyes, 2 that on the sides are kind of narrow, and he got the big brown one in the center, and they put a lot of expression in the way those eyes opened and blinked and stuff, and really gave the monster some character.
Mm-hmm. And he has a very distinct roar.
Yeah, that's another thing to bring up too. An excellent roar.
Yeah. I'm trying to see where they got the roar on here. It says it was actually reused from Mokian.
Was it? No.
Yeah, from Mokian. Well, I think is that a Tiga monster? I'm pretty sure that's a Tiga monster. No, it's a Gaia monster. I was wrong. Okay. Or was he? No, his roar was reused for Mokian, and then for Vadada, who was in Ultraman Cosmos. So I guess his roar was a new one. No, actually I was wrong. I was very wrong. No, it says King of King of Mons derived got his roar from Jurassic Park dinosaurs.
Yeah, I just
No, not Jurassic Park, Jurassic dinosaurs. Just as Jurassic dinosaurs. So apparently somebody thought dinosaurs sounded like this. Okay. By the way, King of Mons did come back pretty recently too. Ultraman Arc and the Red Orb as well. I have some interesting things to say about the Red Orb when we get to it. But yeah, I know you wanted to, and we should do this. You were going to list out the cast that we had for this movie.
Yeah, just out of curiosity, I was kind of checking up on the child cast members and see what's happened to them since that film.
Yeah, and just so everybody knows, just so we can get them out of there, we have Takeshi Yoshioka as Gamu Takayama. He's our Ultra host, and then we have that's one of the kid actors. Never mind.
No, wait. Yeah, the kid. We're talking about kid actors. You got Gaku Hamada, who played Tsutomu Shinsei. He was our star. And he didn't really do much tokusatsu since then, but one of his claims of fame is he married a fashion model who was like six inches taller than he is. So he basically, because he was the shortest kid in the movie, and he kind of remained short right up into adulthood.
I mean, his co-star in this was a girl and who was also taller than him.
Yeah,
maybe it started there. Maybe he had a crush on her. And then she forever altered his taste in women.
But he's a very prolific actor. He's still busy. He's been in TV dramas. He's been
you left out the part about how he managed to ask his wife out in a drunken rage at a bar.
No, that's a part of his wiki page. Supposedly, he had to get himself because he was a shy gentleman, so he had to kind of get himself some liquid courage to. Get her phone number, and it worked. Yeah, they're married and have a daughter. So I guess there's something to say.
Well, there you go, kids. All you got to do is get drunk and then ask the girl for her phone number.
Well, we're not here endorsing that. What happened?
Actually, Jimmy, I do believe for a second that actually happened for you, but apparently he's put down the bottle.
Now,
but anyway, the
actress who played the little girl. Let's see. Let's go review her name there. What's her name?
Mai Saito.
Lisa. It's interesting that she had Lisa it's even spelled Lisa like the English.
Yeah.
word.
Although I've seen some. It's confusing with some of these. I've seen some spellings of her name as Lena.
It doesn't sound like that when they're talking.
It's Lisa. Doesn't make sense to me. Yeah.
So she was played by Saito Mai, and she actually has quite a history with tokusatsu. So she did the Ultraman Battle in Hyperspace, and then she came back for some of the Ultraman Cosmos movies. And she was in Ultraman Mebius, Ultraman Max, Ultra Q Dark Fantasy. And she was most recently, she was in Hoshi 35.
Yeah.
Which SRS Cinema recently put out. And she was also in Nezura 1964. So she's been involved with tokusatsu pretty much right up to the present day.
Yeah, and I'm just looking at her entry on the Ultra Wiki, and even that, she's been in a ton of Ultraman stuff.
Yeah.
And she was in Gamera, not Gamera, Kamen Rider 5s.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, she's a very prolific actress in tokusatsu. And then we also had Miyu Irino as Yu Harama, who was that was the nerdy kid. And then we had Yuta Sato as the main bully, Hiroshi.
So what has he done since Hyperspace?
I don't see an entry for either one of them. Not for Yuta. It doesn't have anything for him. But Mr. Miyu, the nerdy kid, at least on, let's see, he was in Ultraman Zero side story Killer the Beatstar, Ultra Zero Fight, which was probably it says he was a voice actor in that. Oh, he was Jean 9. That's what he was one of the He was one of the tokusatsu characters. Okay. Killer the Beast. So he became a voice actor. And he's just been playing Jean 9 in a bunch of different things. There you go. Although it says he was also the voice of Ultraman Taro in some stage shows. But let's see. He's also been he's done a lot of voice acting from what I'm saying. He was in Beyblade, Spirited. Oh, he was the Japanese voice of Haku in Spirited Away. Wow. And he was the voice of Jiro in One Piece. He was in Yu-Gi-Oh! Zexal. I think that's how you say it. He was in Kingdom Hearts. Oh, he was the voice of Sora in Kingdom Hearts. I'm guessing in Japanese. He was Yagura in Naruto Shippuden. He was Saji Crossroad in Mobile Suit Gundam 00. And if all the kids out there will know him for this, he's the voice of Sino, however you're supposed to say it, in Genshin Impact. There you go. But I can't find anything for the bully or Yuta Sato. And then we have all the people. We've got our cast is rounded up by Yuki Sugita as Wataru Kosugi. Harato Takamoto as Kohei Nakahara. Then was it Risa Juna? Oh, that was the teacher. She's actually I found out she's actually a singer. She's a pop star. And then we had all of our characters from the show from Ultraman Gaia.
Yeah, well, one guy I did a little research on before we went on the air here was Sei Hiraizumi. And so he played one of the leaders there of that I can't remember for Gaia. What was the name of that organization that Gaia was part of? Do you remember?
It is. I'm trying.
The Science Patrol.
The Science Patrol team. I'm trying to look it up. It is Zig XIG.
Okay. Yeah, so they were the current quote unquote Science Patrol for that series. So one of the guys in charge of that organization, the actor who played him was Sei Hiraizumi, and he's an older guy. Now he actually went as far back as Ultraman Taro, as far as his tokusatsu appearances. He was in episode 36, and then he was episode 46 for Ultraman Leo, and then of course he was a regular in Ultraman Gaia. And then he appeared in episode 21 and 22 of Ultraman Mebius. And then his most recent Ultraman was Ultraman R&B, episode 4.
Rube. It's pronounced Rube.
Oh, that's how you pronounce it?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. I see like R/B, and so that's...
It's weird. It's pronounced Rube.
Oh, okay. And then
because it's about twin Ultramen, and one's blue, one's red.
Okay. Oh, alrighty. I see the connection. And then his first tokusatsu role was way back in Return of Daimajin.
Wow.
He played Hayato Tanabe, and he was in Gamma versus Jiger as a security guard. And then he was in Godzilla versus Destroyer as a cabinet research officer director Ueda.
Mm-hmm.
And then he was in Shin Godzilla, which we played Yusuke Satomi, and that was one of the political guys. So all the way back from Daimajin to Shin Godzilla.
Yeah. And then and that you said that was for who? Hiroyuki Watanabe?
The name of the actor was Sei Hiraizumi.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm looking at that. Yeah. And then we also had Hiroyuki Watanabe, like I said. These are the people who carried over and were barely in the movie when they were regulars on the show. And then we had Ai Hashimoto. And then this is the most interesting one. Maria Teresa Gao, who played Georgie Leland. She's the one who looks kind of Caucasian.
Mm-hmm.
And I found out why. Here's the thing. She's not even half Japanese. She's how's this for you? She's half Scottish and half Filipino.
Oh, okay.
And she can speak English, Japanese, and Tagalog.
Impressive.
So she's a polyglot. She's a polyglot, and yeah, Scottish and Filipino. What a combination! But she really stood out when I was watching. I was like, why do we have a white girl? This was not on my bingo card today. And just because voice actors and suit actors need more love, Satan Bizor, however you're supposed to say, I saw different spellings, was voiced by Daisuke Gori. The Red Sphere is voiced by Nana Yamaguchi. And let's see, Tiga was voiced by Yuji Maki. Dinah was voiced by Takeshi Saruno. And our suit actors are Keiji Hasagawa as Gaia, Shinsuke Gando as Tiga, Makoto Ito as Dinah, Satan Bizor and King of Mons had the same suit actor, Hiroyuki Okano. Basilisk was Hisataka Kiteoka, and Scylla, or Skulla, however you want to say it, was Koichi Toshima. So there you go. We will at least mention them by name because they need more love.
Oh, absolutely.
Because suit acting is actual acting. I don't care what anyone says.
Oh, yeah.
But anyway.
You consider the emotions that they emote purely with just body language.
Well, and here's the thing, though. This movie is unique. Yeah, in a lot of ways. Yes, it is a tie-in with the Ultraman Gaia show, but Ultraman Gaia is not really the main character.
No.
It's
this is
kind
of like All Monsters Attack of Ultraman, where the monsters are all are not real. They're part. Yeah, because in Tsutomu's world, Ultraman Gaia is a television show.
Yeah, except the episode he's watching is a fake episode.
Yeah.
I found out, this is funny. It is a fake episode 13 that, according to the Ultra Wiki, is called The Devil's Kiss.
Well,
yeah, I don't know who's kissing that. Maybe that's why the monster's name is Satan Bizor. The Devil's Kiss. It sounds like a pulp novel. Satan's Kiss.
Well, here's a love trial between Metron and Zeta.
Oh, it's the Devil's. Yeah, the Devil's Kiss. I'm sorry. Yeah.
So, it's first it started off with a little kiss. Next thing you know, there's baby Bizor.
The views expressed by the guests of the Monster Island Film Vault do not necessarily reflect those of the host or Moonlighting Ninjas Media or the Monster Island Board of Directors. All right, my disclaimer has my disclaimer has been read. My contractual obligations
are rejected. You need a disclaimer on a little comment I made.
Yeah, just playing my cards right. Yeah, anyway, so yeah, which is what makes this interesting. So it's a multiverse story, but they decided to go, like you said, the All Monsters Attack route with it, except unlike All Monsters Attack, Godzilla's Revenge, whichever you prefer, because you were on for that episode too. It's just like referring to all of your episodes. But unlike in that one, the kid makes his heroes appear in his
the
world.
Real world.
Yeah.
It's like the reverse of All Monsters Attack, where Chiro managed to translate himself into the fantasy world, and then Tsutomu managed to bring the fantasy world into the real world.
Yeah, and you know what is a parallel that our mutual friend John LeMay pointed out in one of his books, and I'm like, I am embarrassed that I didn't make this connection. He likened this movie to Last Action Hero.
Oh, really?
The Arnold Schwarzenegger movie?
Mm-hmm.
Which is about a kid who watches action movies, and through weird stuff, it's been a while since I've watched Last Action Hero, he manages to pull his favorite action movie character played by Arnold out of the movie and brings him to the real world after he also spends some time in the other one.
Yeah.
Where all he does is walk around. Is like, I know how this whole world works because I know tropes. Yeah, so we didn't quite get that, but so it's like, oh, Monsters Attack if Godzilla actually came into that world. But here's the thing that I kind of love about it: it wasn't simply a case of the red orb just makes the characters real, quote unquote. You can argue it, and I think I think the movie makes it very plain. It just plucks Ultraman Gaia out of the TV universe and drops him in here. Because what did he remember? He said he was patrolling the Bermuda Triangle.
Yeah, a long ways away from Japan.
Yeah. So you could just attribute it to Bermuda Triangle weirdness.
Yeah. There's a logical explanation of there. You thought it was the globe, and really it was just the Bermuda Triangle.
Yeah. Potentially. You could interpret it that way. But that's the other part of this that makes it really interesting, and I did not see anybody bring this up. So this might be a Monster Island Film Vault exclusive, even though I'm surprised no one's made this connection. This is a monkey's paw story.
Okay.
Are you familiar with the monkey's paw?
Yeah. Now, isn't that like, okay, you got the paw. Oh, some kind of like curse.
Yeah, I looked it up. I thought it was a folklore thing. No, it's actually an early 1900s short story. So I think I will be submitting that to a guy by the name of Vinny for a little show that takes place in a crypt. Because there are other radio shows on the island besides mine. I think he might like it. But yeah, it's The Monkey's Paw by a guy named W.W. Jacobs. And it's about it's a British story, if I remember correctly. And they find a severed, mummified monkey's paw that can grant wishes, but the wishes always have a drawback because the people using the monkey's paw are meddling with fate.
Yes.
So you get what you want, but there's major consequences. And we've seen that archetypal story appear in a ton of stuff since then. And I would say this is another example of that, because they find the red orb, and the red orb can grant wishes. Now, the red orb is given a more science fictional explanation instead of it just being magic. And they actually make the red orb a lot more interesting than you would think they would.
Yeah.
My gosh. Because, yeah, it's actually it was actually a piece of technology developed in another universe that was hyper advanced. But despite all that advancement, human nature is still human nature. They eventually abused the power and destroyed themselves. So then the orb just keeps jumping from one universe to the next, and the same thing keeps happening.
Yeah.
And it turns out little Lisa is actually how do they describe it? It's the interface.
Yeah.
Or the orb.
The avatar.
It's basically the avatar.
Yeah.
The orb does not want to cause destruction, but its nature is to grant wishes. It just can't help itself. So it just keeps watching worlds be destroyed constantly. And boy, this movie gets kind of intense for a kids movie that they're just going to show to children when they're on spring break from school, because we get this very stark image of little Lisa with scratches on her face, and she's crying and praying, and there's flames all around as the world is burning, and it's just like, wow, it's a little intense.
Yeah, well, it almost came to pass because as soon as it got in the hands of the bullies, it's like, because how they kind of describe it, like humans just don't know when to stop because of their greed. They always want more and more and more. They know that they have no limits. They don't know. And so then we saw that with those two kids. They have no idea what they really were asking for. They're, we want the world destroyed because blah, whatever.
Because the world hates us because we were obsessed with monsters. So we're just going to make a monster. And that's where King of Mons comes from. King of Mons is a monster dreamed up by kids.
Mm-hmm.
And you can tell that this monster was designed to just look as cool as possible, because they're like, well, how would a child design a monster if they just wanted it to be as cool and scary as possible?
Yes.
And that's why I kind of love it. It is a little bit OP, but it's such a wild design and feels very appropriate. But I do want to dive into the thematic implications of this. I forgot how interesting this was thematically.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but I can understand why maybe nobody has brought that up, the monkey's paw thing, because the actual text of the movie, the literary callback that it does, and I will confess I have been rereading this, in light of this episode, is Gulliver's Travels. That fascinated me because we get to see a Japanese translation of Gulliver's Travels, which is, if I believe that is a British novel, and by Jonathan Swift. And they make it abundantly clear, yeah, we're drawing inspiration from this because it's a multiverse story. He goes to different worlds because Tsutomu's like, I love this book. I read it all the time. He's going to Gulliver goes to Lilliput and Brobdingnag, and because that's where we get the word Brobdingnagian. I was gonna introduce this episode as one of Brobdingnagian proportions, but I'm like, eventually I'm going to cover the Harryhausen Gulliver's Travels. I think I'll save it for that. So when I first watched this, I was not expecting that. Gulliver's Travels is in this.
Mm-hmm.
I have to know if that is a real book, because it's not only translated into Japanese, it looks like it's an edition made for grade school kids.
Probably a real book. I mean, it's, books get, especially a classic book usually gets translated in all kinds of languages. So yeah, I'm sure it's probably the real thing.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't make it special just for that movie.
Yeah. But yeah, I was not expecting that. But it makes sense for this one with the universe hopping, and even though I don't think I would call, is Gulliver's Travels a multiverse story, or at least an alternate world story? I'm not.
No,
I'm not entirely sure.
They had that concept back then, so their idea of other worlds is going to a lost island or a lost plateau or something like that. Some unexplored region. That's kind of more of their idea of a lost world.
Yeah, perhaps. By the way, for anyone who might be wondering, where does this plug into the Ultraman Gaia show? All I can tell you is that it's supposed to be after episode 26, because this actually was released on the same day that episode 26 was aired, because that's where Gaia got his V2 form. So this is not the original design for Gaia. It's something of a power-up. So, in case you needed to know that.
I got a quick question for you. Now, since we're kind of touching on like the kid characters and their wishes and stuff. Now, you got the bully who picked on Tsutomu for liking Ultraman and said, well, you need to grow up, from liking that sort of stuff. But then he seemed to know about these monsters and the exact weight. And almost kind of like, okay, he made fun of Tsutomu for watching Ultraman Gaia, but it's like he was secretly interested in Kaiju as well.
Mm-hmm. Well, he liked the monsters. He wasn't talking about the Ultras.
Well, even so, I mean, it's kind of like, well, if you like, you have to watch the show Ultraman in order to see the monsters. So if it's kind of part of the package. So why are you making fun of, this other kid for liking the show when behind the scenes you like it too? Or seriously wonder if that bully had more problems than just one. Like he's embarrassed by his own interests, and so
it could be that, but it could also be a case of he likes the monsters, but he doesn't like the Ultras.
Yeah, maybe
because he's like, I like the monsters because they break things.
Because I remember this from my own experience with childhood. It's just that usually kids like either they like something in whole, either they like the whole thing or they don't like it at all. They don't just like say, okay, well this part we like, but this other part we're gonna label as childish, even though it's the same show.
I keep thinking that I've seen something where somebody was complaining. What was it? I feel like it was an anime or something. where someone is like, I like this, but I'm tired, but I like the monsters, and I'm tired of that the heroes always kill the monsters at the end. Maybe it was Go-Go Loser Ranger. Maybe that's what I'm thinking of.
Yeah, because usually if the kids, if they thought that something was childish or babyish, they just dismissed the show and the whole thing.
Yeah. It could be a case of, he liked it, but now he's like, I'm grown up and it's stupid. But then as soon as he finds out that the monsters are real, he gets excited.
Yeah. But yeah, we don't find a whole lot about him per se. We kind of got little hints that this is a pretty messed up kid, this bully.
As bullies usually are.
Yeah. He's not just mean. He's just got some issues, and of course his way of handling it is kind of like the sort of like projecting on somebody else who can't defend themselves.
Mm-hmm.
In order to for the sake of their own ego.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because when we were doing research on this, and we found out that the screenwriter dealt with bullies.
Hasegawa. And the more I find out about Hasegawa, the more I think he became my favorite Ultraman writer without me knowing, because most of the stuff he's written is the parts of the Ultraman franchise that I like a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Yeah, but Hasegawa, I was like, he must have channeled that into this.
Yeah.
Which wouldn't surprise me, because from what I read on here, let's see. Yeah, and Hasegawa's done a ton of stuff. He wrote the previous movie, Warriors of the Star of Light. He's also going to write the next movie, the Ultraman Tiga: The Final Odyssey. He also wrote episodes of Dyna, Nexus, Ginga. He wrote Superior 8 Ultra Brothers, which will also be covered later on this season. And he wrote for SSSS Gridman, or just SSSS Gridman, and a ton of others. He's been with Tsuburaya quite a while. And when he started writing the script, only 4 episodes of the show had aired. So he had to make sure nothing contradicted the show. And this little quotation I found on the Ultra Wiki, I think, is very descriptive of what he does. Quote, Hasegawa's work is often characterized by portraying these challenges paralleled on scales that are both large and abstract, and also small and personal. By examining the challenges that human beings face, mirrored also by the struggle of giants of light punching the crap out of... No, this is from Ultraman Connection, not the Ultra Wiki, excuse me. Punching the crap out of big, scary monsters, another major theme of his work becomes apparent. Many of his works deal with the nature of the small, personal scale of the human heart, our hopes and desires, but also our fears and flaws, end quotes. And he intentionally wanted to make this one more down to earth from what I was reading. Let me double check on that. Yeah, in fact, they actually said initially they were going to have Dyna go to Gaia's world. But then Konaka, the director, Kazuya Konaka, thought that would undermine the end. I won't get into it too much, but that would undermine the end of the Ultraman Dyna show.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And then so they decided to do the metafictional approach after that. And this has to be some sort of a typo because I don't quite get this, but according to Kanaka, when he was working with Hasegawa and Suzuki, I'm trying to remember who's Suzuki. Was he a producer? Let's see, staff Suzuki. What?
Chief producer.
Oh, chief producer. Okay, there you go. So working with them, they said that they took inspiration from Destroy All Monsters.
Oh, interesting.
I'm like, where? I don't get it. But anyway, yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's just because there's several monsters or something. I don't know. It's not an alien invasion story, or I don't know. But yeah, it's from the Ultra Wiki, quote, once the story was finalized, the production team focused on creating fresh visual experiences. They emphasized adventure and large-scale scenes that disrupted daily life, incorporating full CGI mechanical battles. The filmmakers wanted viewers to feel the intensity of Ultraman's battles and the destruction caused by monsters more vividly than in the TV series. Digital effects were used to enhance explosions and debris, blending with miniature sets for greater realism. End quote. I will say this, the CGI works a bit better here. They also use more of it. which is a little weird. This is late 90s Japanese CGI. Keep in mind, this came out the same year as Godzilla 2000.
Yeah, at least they kind of didn't do a lot of it, and they kind of they kind of use it rather judiciously, I would say.
Yeah.
So because the Japanese CGI back then in the 90s was very, very crude, but they managed to incorporate what they knew how to do well with miniature sets and also real live action, location shooting.
Yeah.
Like some of the city destruction scenes and stuff, they did a really nice job.
Yeah. In fact, I even found out that the crew had to protect their sets overnight from a typhoon.
Oh, wow.
But even then, it says that the ruined school set that they had still took some damage, which, by the way, can someone please explain to me, I know this is kind of a tangent, but how is it that none of the adults react to the fact that there's a kaiju fight happening in the city? And stuff gets wrecked. Like, we see the school and Tsutomu's room get destroyed, but everything's fine at the end. Like, nothing happened. It's weird.
Well, they had one scene where they show people running down the street in panic, and I guess they figured they covered their bases with that one clip.
I guess. It was just odd, but like, before all the really crazy stuff happens, it's just that Satan Beiser shows up. And then because Gamu's been pulled into this world, he sees like, crap, I got to go take care of this. And he turns into Gaia, goes and fights it. That lasts for just a couple of minutes. He takes care of that. No problem. And goes back to Gamu and starts in an absolutely hilarious gag. He gets mobbed by a bunch of kids who recognize him from the TV show.
Yeah.
So it's like normally this would be a pop star getting chased by a bunch of fangirls, but it's this guy getting chased by kids, and it's like, how do you know I'm Ultraman Gaia? He's running around freaking out. And
but
everyone's
kind of avoided doing some silly jokes they could have had the actor play the actor who was playing Gamu in the TV series meet the real Gamu. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
Maybe if it was longer than 75 minutes, they could have done that. Or that kind of sort of happens in Outer Man.
Mm-hmm.
Except that was more like you had Ultraman actors who got to be a superhero. Anyway, go watch Outer Man. It's great. But that was the point while I was watching this, is like, there was just a kaiju fight over there. Why is everyone going about their business like it's, like nothing happened?
It's almost like that they kind of forgot that the Ultraman is not supposed to exist in this universe. Think there'd be
it was weird.
Big ripple effect story-wise, because then they'd be like, hey, wait a minute. We saw this character on TV, and all of a sudden he showed up for real. What happened?
And then he disappeared. What happened? Didn't they just knock over someone's house? What just happened? And then what makes it even more surreal is Gamu runs into a toy store that is full of Ultraman merch.
Yeah.
And for the first and I think only time in this entire franchise, they actually react to the fact that there are toys of all of this stuff. It's not like that we haven't seen this before. There were toys, the actual toys that you could buy for the show were appearing in the original Ultraman. Yeah. And nobody thinks it's weird in universe that they're doing this. But now we finally see him run in. There's like, what? They make toys of all this? What? And then he learns that he's just a TV show, even though there's a fake episode 13 in this movie. Just so everybody knows, that was not stock footage. According to John, some people thought it was stock footage. It's not stock footage.
Yeah, we were watching this kind of a small side thing, but I didn't notice before. But the Gamu's hairstyle, kind of wavy part in the middle, reminds a bit of Ultraman Omega, his hairstyle.
Yeah, I can see.
Well, you know how like Ultraman always likes doing callback to older shows. I can't help but wonder, are they trying to like channel Gaia here, Gamu?
Possibly, but yeah, it was. Yeah, that was just kind of surreal. there.
Yeah.
It's the
Well,
one
I
time
guess
they did.
the one way to look at it, it's a 75-minute show, and it's focused on the kid, not on what's going on around him. So I suppose they just simply, that's their logic for sidestepping it.
Probably. Yeah. By the way, that Ultraman Gaia episode I mentioned that aired the same day that this movie came out, episode 26, called The Final Resolution.
Mm-hmm.
I'm glad it's The Final Resolution because that's 2 letters away from being banned in America.
Yeah.
Woo, dangerously close there. Yes, Jimmy, let's not go there. That is for a different episode, sir. Different episode. Oh, and yeah, and you mentioned that the Sphere and King of Mons came back. It took them 25 years, but they came back in the Ultraman arc, and that was episode 21, The Dream Bird.
Mm-hmm.
And I do remember that. I was watching. I was like, hey, look, it's them again. Oh my gosh, they came back.
I wish I would have made the connection when I saw that episode, but it's been so long since I've seen Battle in Hyperspace, is I just thought that was new to that particular episode. I was like, I realized I was watching something from Battle in Hyperspace. And now I want to go and pick up the series just so I can rewatch that episode.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. And it's interesting that this is a metatextual story. And we have some nice character arcs going on in here. Tsutomu learns how to be brave. Yeah, because there are people who tell us like, you have to learn how to be brave. And there's some other really cool thematic stuff going on. But yeah, there was the reviewer on Ultraman Connection did bring up that like this movie is not about the Ultraman himself and where he stands in his own respective universe. It is about the role of Ultraman in our own lives.
There's that, but also kind of like the star of the show is an Ultraman fan. There's us, us Ultraman fans. And you kind of, because like I remember when I was like the age of Tsutomu, although Ultraman kind of hurt itself with the Gyrus episode, so my big favorite was Spectre-Man, and Tsutomu, sorry if I'm hurting his name there, his love for Gaia was like identical to my love for Spectre-Man. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's exactly, so I was able to relate with this character, 100%. And I can, that's one thing really that's enjoyable about this movie is how, it's how they can relate to the life of a young fan.
Mm-hmm.
And you got like the mother, disapproving, of course, of the kids' show, as parents always disapprove what the kids like a lot. If you like something a lot, for whatever reason, the parent then disapproves.
Oh, you like Power Rangers? I heard that show was too violent for kids, and Lord Zed is too scary.
Yeah, that sort of thing. And although the mother had a little bit kind of a pretty good reason to be disapproving because it was hurting his grades. He's spending more time.
So she says.
Yeah. Because she was waving his report card in his face. And also in the back of his school paper, he had drawings of Ultraman, which kind of reminds me again of the original Kenny from Gamera in 1965, where he was his name. Toshiro was the child's name. He was always drawing, always drawing pictures of turtles because he's obsessed with turtles.
Kenny's a psychopath.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Kenny's a psychopath. See, he agrees. Every time Toshio shows up at all of those reunions, Jimmy tells me that they're like, yeah, he's crazy.
Yeah, Jimmy would know better than anyone.
Yeah, he would.
He's saying they're peers.
Yeah, I was gonna say, okay, did Kenny help Gamera save the world from an alien invasion? I think not.
Yeah.
He was too busy being a fanboy. And then Gamera came, and then Kenny said, I'm going to become an astronaut and go visit Gamera on Mars. And then Gamera came back a year later and crushed his dreams.
Yeah. So circling back to Tsutomu there, he through the story arc, because he begins the first, he's watching episode 13 there. And then you got Gamu, who's got, his MacGuffin, his transformation device on the end of that beam. He's crawling out to get it.
A splendor?
Yes. And well, of course, then Tsutomu goes through the same thing where he has to crawl across that beam to get the little red ball, from a precarious position. So now he's getting a chance to basically be the hero and following in his hero's footsteps.
Mm-hmm.
He's got all his, both his friends and his bullies. They're both cheering him on. You gotta save us, get the ball.
Yeah, funny how it switches very quickly. Yeah, but I gotta wonder, what was Lisa's plan? How long did she think she was going to be able to hide herself as the new girl at school?
Mm-hmm. See, that was one part of the story I didn't quite understand, because the way I interpret it, like, the first time we see Lisa, she's not a real person. She's like the interface of that red ball. And then when the red ball disappears and that interface disappears, then the real Lisa shows up. And I was kind of wondering, are they just trying to give this story ensure the story has a happy ending for the younger audience? It's like, no, everything's okay. There's a real Lisa out there,
Yeah, but
or else the ball was randomly looking for a face and it just happened to pick that one girl.
Maybe because I am still kind of sitting there thinking, it's like, did she just show up with forged papers saying, I'm Lisa Nanase, I want to go to school here? And they're like, oh, sure.
Yeah.
They don't contact her parents? I like your theory better, that the sphere saw her face and then copied her.
Yeah, in order to fit in with the environment there.
I mean, if you really want to get weird and and fan theory-tastic, maybe because she hops to different universes, maybe she always finds Lisa. Or maybe she went to a universe, found that universe's version of Lisa, and then copied that face. And it's just been copied. It just kept that face every time.
Maybe Lisa is a common link between all the universes.
It's the common link between all the universes.
There's a Lisa.
Yeah, there's always a Lisa. There's always a Lisa. Which the only thing that would have made that story about the little actor even funnier is if he did marry that actress.
I have to admit, that was kind of a little horrific. The first time we see her and she looks up, I did a deep voice. I am your future wife.
Oh, but this really does feel like a kid's movie from, I don't want to say the 80s. It's not quite that flavor, but it definitely feels like a 90s kids movie where it's about the kids going on some sort of an adventure without all the adults.
Yeah.
It's like, I found something cool. What does it do? I don't know. It does cool things. Let's see what it does. And then it just keeps escalating until it gets out of hand.
Yeah, even the shape of the ball, gets more nastier looking as it gets used for evil purposes.
And I do appreciate the fact, even though the kids do get into some Kenny style cheering for Gaia and Tiga and Dinah, because we keep kind of forgetting that this is actually a crossover movie. It's more of a crossover movie than the previous one, because Tiga shows up in it for all of 5 minutes. He sets Dinah free, revives him. They shoot the Queen Monera and they're done.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, he barely does anything. This, you get much more of a team up, but it still only has about the same amount of plot significance. And there isn't all that much foreshadowing for their arrival, other than we see action figures of them in Tsutomu's room.
Yeah.
They don't even mention Tiga and Dinah by name. He's obsessed with Gaia.
Yeah, of course, it was, made a time when those two characters were fresh in everyone's mind. So I bet you that went right under the radar, because everyone remembered Dinah, everyone remembers Tiga, because they were the very recent shows, and there's probably plenty of toys on the shelf that no one thought of. Like, oh, gee, like you said, they didn't have the thought processes you're having.
Yeah, but I almost wonder if maybe Hasegawa was writing this script and it was, well, I don't know, because they did initially think about having, from what I read, Dinah going to Gaia's world, but I don't know. It almost feels like Hasegawa was writing the script, and then he got to the end and was like, darn it, I need to get Dinah and Tiga in this.
Yeah, maybe.
Like, okay. They use the magic MacGuffin to wish them there to save the day. Because that was an interesting thing, because this does address one of those monkey's paw plot holes, which is why don't they just use it to use the monkey's paw to fix everything? And the red sphere says it's too late. You can't. Now that's all the explanation we get, but it's still just saying, no, you can't use me to fix this. And I think there's some deeper thematic reasons for that. So little Tsutomu does the next best thing. It's like, okay, I can't wish it all to go away, but I can wish for help.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when Tiga and Dinah show up. I like to think that that's the Tiga and Dinah from their respective universe. Kind of like with Gaia. And they're not just constructs or something that the sphere made. But we get zero indication of that because their hosts don't show up.
Yeah, well, would an Ultra recognize a doppelganger or not? You know, like a phony Ultraman? Because Gaia acknowledged them as the Tiga and the Dinah.
Yeah, that's why I would think that it's the actual Tiga and Dinah. But Gaia is in his own universe.
Mm-hmm.
Even though these three are connected for thematic reasons. But, you know, but it's also because they do these crossover movies. That's another reason why they're tied together as a trilogy, even though Tiga and Dinah are those two are in the same universe, but Gaia's not. But, you know, it's like this movie because they cross over, that they're a trio within the franchise. But like I said, there's thematic reasons for it as well. But I appreciated that it's like, no, you can't use me to fix it, but you can ask for help. I thought that was a nice touch. And the kids are not the ones who necessarily save the day.
Yeah.
They help make it happen, but they're not the ones who are just bypassing the adults and saving the world and fixing everything in truly unbelievable fashion. Unlike Jimmy during the Vyrastian invasion.
Yeah, I was about to say. Yeah, they just figure out, let's take this pull out this button and stick it in here and pull this button up there, and we're going to reverse the effects of the
polarity.
Yeah.
Reverse the polarity. Because I'm going to actually, to be honest, now that I think about it, Jimmy, I think you and Masao are the only ones who actually did anything that contributed to Gamera saving the day. You're welcome. Because the kids in the first three movies didn't. I mean, like, the kid in Gauss was like, I hear some ideas, and then the adults made the ideas happen, but it's not the same. And I don't think, and the kids, and then the next movie, anyway, that's a Gamera tangent. I'm not getting on it. Anyway, so, but yeah, it was nice to see that. It's still the Ultras who do it. And we get a really nice 3-part fight scene that actually feels substantial for both Tiga and Dinah showing up, because after King of Mons makes his little spawns, and they start triple teaming Gaia, that's when Tiga and Dinah show up, and they're like, we'll take care of those, you take care of King of Mons.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I just much prefer this. I love the suits, and these monster designs are great. I did not like the excessive CGI for Queen Monera, even though they did have a practical prop for the Queen Monera, but it's really only for the shots of captured Dinah.
Yeah. Well, if I remember correctly, even the Ultras, a lot of their scenes, they were CG'd in as well when they're fighting the CG Queen.
Yep, and they used mocap for that, from what I read.
Yeah, so I was like, well, I'm here to watch Ultraman, not an animated version of him.
Yeah, not a video game graphic.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and we get different environments for it as well with the finale, which was also really nice. It does make the movie feel bigger because Tiga fights his monster. I think that was Scylla, I want to say. Could be wrong. But he goes underwater, and Basilisk and Dinah go into space because, of course.
And I think Basilisk was the 4-footed.
Oh, okay.
And Scylla was the one with the sort of the praying mantis hooked hands.
Okay. I got them mixed up. Sorry. And and then King of Mons and Gaia fight in the city. It was really cool.
Yep, land, sea, and air.
Land, sea, and air. They got it all covered. And I will say, You can definitely tell this is a late 90s tokusatsu movie because there are shots that were giving me, to a certain extent, some Heisei Godzilla vibes, but I was definitely getting some Kaneko vibes from the Gamera trilogy with this, which is appropriate because, to my shock, I can't believe I forgot this. This movie opened the same day as Gamera 3.
That it did.
That seems a little insane to me that you're going to put out 2 kaiju tokusatsu movies out on the same day. You could argue that it's for 2 different audiences, but
that's Kaiju Christmas there,
yeah, but it also feels like you're kind of cannibalizing the audience.
If I was living in Japan in 1999, I'd go see both. Well, I guess you would. I can see what you're saying now. Let's say you make a lot of money off of multiple viewings, and so all right, if you only got so much money, you can only see each movie so many times.
Yeah.
Instead of seeing the same one 5 times, I might see one twice and one 3 times.
Yeah, can you imagine being the kaiju kid who's like, oh my gosh, I'm going to go to the movies this weekend. Oh no, there's Gamera and Ultraman. Which one do I pick?
Yeah.
Unless you had the really cool parents where they're like, there's enough money to see both. But then the kid comes back with some serious trauma from Gamera 3. I was not prepared for that, Mom and Dad.
If it was a kid like me, I wouldn't be traumatized. Yeah.
Yes, we know. You're made of sterner stuff. That's why you're old.
Well, it's not that I'm bad sterner stuff. It's that when I was that age, when I loved monsters, it didn't matter what else was going on. I just loved the monster. In fact, I'll give you an example. Like when I first time I saw Matango, aka Attack of the Mushroom People, I saw it when I was 6. Absolutely loved that movie. Thought the ending was so profound. Then I saw it again when I was maybe like 9 or 12, and then the movie just scared the willies out of me. It's kind of weird because you think that when you're younger, it would scare you then, but because I love monsters so much, it didn't matter if it was scary or silly. It's a monster. I love monsters. It didn't matter what was going on. It's just, there's a monster, Mom. So I would say, if you're a kid like me, it has a monster in it. Whatever else goes on, it's not even gonna register. It just look monster.
Yeah, I suppose. But getting back to this movie, did it seem a little convenient that the sphere could only bring things to the universe for a certain amount of time? And so you're like, okay, is that it? He just goes back, but then he conveniently is like, oh, we have an experimental aircraft that I can use to travel to another universe. Huh? I'm going to say, as much as I like this movie, and I like this movie a lot, there does seem to be a little bit of plot convenience at points.
Well, they as soon as the plot device had its use, they got rid of it right away. They showed it no mercy. So they kind of counterbalanced it a bit. It wasn't like something they can just continually could use conveniently down the road. They just they need to get Gamu back. And so they had the experimental device they just simply contrived, but as soon as it fulfilled its purpose, they got rid of it right away. Yeah. So like I said, they made their plot contrivance pay the price of being very short-lived.
Short-lived, yeah. Yeah, I guess it makes sense. I don't know. I will say this. I was going to get to this when talking about how the cinematography in these 90s Ultraman movies, I absolutely adore because they look cinematic. They look like movies.
Yes.
Which has been a problem when I've watched some of the newer, finale movies for the newer Ultra shows, is like, these just feel like overlong episodes.
Yeah.
These felt like movies. Yeah, they're tying into the show, but they feel like movies.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I could watch this in a theater and feel very satisfied, not just feel like I'm watching a TV episode.
Yes.
Feels cinematic. So clearly they have been taking some cues from Kaneko because it really looked like some Heisei Gamera at points here.
Well, even some of the special effects is one thing that the Heisei Gamera movies got, as far as their special effects got known for, is they finally showed demonstrated the weight of the monster when the footstep hit the ground. You had dirt flying up.
Mm-hmm.
And so they had a little of that when Gaia lands on the ground, and of course dirt flies up.
That is Gaia's thing. As someone who has seen the show, that is Gaia's thing. Every time he shows up, he lands and dirt flies. And then, but the thing is, apparently only he can do that. Well, because anytime he crosses over with another Ultra and they do the exact same thing that he does, no debris. But he does it, dirt flies.
I think I've seen other Ultra. Haven't they could do that up to the present day?
But I'm talking about when I've seen Gaia and other things. And I'm like, why is he the only one making dirt fly?
I wish I knew a little bit more about the behind the scenes, but I did see an interview that I remember vaguely. It was a special effects guy who works for Ultraman, and of course he was a big admirer of how they did the Gamera films, and so he incorporated a lot, like the flying dirt, into his special effects scenes. So maybe the reason why you see that inconsistency, again, I have no research to back that up, is just that maybe that special effects guy was only on certain projects, and he incorporated that when the other special effects people hadn't caught up with it yet.
Yeah,
that's a fan theory without research.
Yeah, it's possible. I suppose it's possible, but let me see. Just to make sure we get into it, I want to get into some of the really juicy thematic meat that we have in this, because that is something that I have to say with both this and Warriors of the Star of Light. I bet even though I'd seen them before, I end up, when I watch them again, being reminded of how, even though this is a 75-minute tie-in movie for a kid show, they are not talking down to the kids, and they are getting into some relatively heavy subject matter. It's the sort of stuff that I don't feel like even the newer Ultra shows do quite as much. Sometimes it depends on which show it is, but I just don't feel like they quite get to that. With the last one, it was how just vehemently anti-nihilist it was. Like, it was almost violently anti-nihilist. And this one, though, I've talked before about how I wish more people could give me more details about how Eiji Tsuburaya was a rare Japanese Catholic. Because all the stuff that I look at, it'll get mentioned in passing once, maybe twice, and then it's never brought up again. I'm like, I need more information about this. You can't just gloss over this. Okay? And even though Tsuburaya died a few years after Ultra 7, his spirit, I feel like, has continued to live on throughout the entire Ultraman franchise.
Yeah.
And I think Hasegawa gets it. I really, truly believe Hasegawa gets it, and I have to bring that up because one of the other trademarks of the Monster Island Film Vault is spotlighting and shouting out screenwriters because they are unsung heroes in tokusatsu, I'll say. It's really kind of filmmaking in general, but certainly in tokusatsu. And one of the things that I want to bring up that's part of this that I read on, I believe this was on Ultraman Connection, that had a very thoughtful and thought-provoking review of this movie. So I mentioned the surface level connections that Tiga, Dyna, and Gaia have, but this reviewer argued that it goes deeper than that. Quote, there are several reasons for this. All three have similar styles in terms of establishing their respective universes and the premise of each show. They all emphasize a global defense force and examine its role alongside Ultraman as a modern revival of the anthology style of classic Showa era. These series also aired sequentially in contact with each other, so they share many of the same writers and directors. Okay, so that's the surface level stuff. But here's where it gets interesting. For all three shows, the power of Ultraman represents something very specific. Ultraman in these series is not about the perfection of humanity, but its potential. It is an ideal to continually strive towards, even when it seems impossible, even when we fail, end quotes. You saw that in the previous movie for sure, but that was about Dinah Shinasuke himself dealing with that. This one, though, because it's metatextual, it's about a kid.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's not about the characters, not the Ultraman characters necessarily. It's like it's saying, this is about you, audience. It starts making the story a little bit more personal. And even with the kaiju, you know, I found another line from the same review that said, quote, monsters and kaiju are also reflections of ourselves and can come from the same imagination. Just like how, you know, all these writers and producers and all that were doing the same thing by, you know, they created monsters, but they also created heroes to face them. Quote, for adults watching the movie, it becomes a tragic story at the moment rather than just a fairy tale. The terrifying implications of that statement are all too obvious for those who likely know firsthand the destructive, limitless greed that humanity is capable of.
Yeah.
End quotes. So how can you, basically the reviewer asked, and this is why I think thematically, maybe logistically it may not necessarily, or narratively it may not necessarily make sense because they don't really explain it, but you can't just wish away all the destruction that happened because it came from human nature. You can't just wish human nature away.
Yes.
And that's the scary part. It really is. And look what happened. The orb just keeps going from universe to universe because every time somebody finds it and they destroy themselves with it. It's a very classic Japanese idea. You know, it's like it goes all the way back to, you know, the original Godzilla. I can't let you have the oxygen destroyer because eventually you'll destroy yourselves with it.
In U.S. sci-fi, you had the Forbidden Planet. It has like similar scene with the Krell, where they got so technologically advanced, so that their minds then, you know, they can manipulate things called instrumentalities, of course, and they actually tapped into the id, you know, their darker nature. So even though they were technologically advanced, they were still have the same flaws as we do. It's, you know, as they said, you know, there's a reason why we have you know, laws and religion, you know, to put guardrails on our behavior, to define morality. Because otherwise, yeah, if you don't define, you know, if you don't define where the limits are, you know, you'd be like the dog that doesn't know when to stop eating.
Yeah, it would be chaos. And what makes that this reviewer pointed out, it actually makes this a little bit scarier because we tend to think of children as being innocent, but the orb is so powerful and so corruptive, it can even twist the wishes of children.
Well, you know, kids, I mean, we have capability to get full of hate. You know, if we hate something, what we want to smash it. You know, that's always been like the kind of the definition of childish behavior is destroying things that make you angry. And so they showed that with the bully. Okay, you know, adults make me angry, so I will smash them. And so, unfortunately, you know, that childish desire now has been given the means to do things on a truly, you know, apocalyptic scale. There's another movie that Hammer came out with, 5 Million Years to Earth. That covers the same theme to the extent where, again, if you tap into the human psyche, what comes out is something horrific and monstrous. You know, you have people killing each other with their minds through psychic powers and so forth. You know, it's kind of like there's a recognition. You know, there's a fallen nature in us that has to be tamed or redeemed, or at least acknowledged.
Yeah, and the bully kind of has his own little arc too. You'll notice it's interesting that because the orb actually says the orb is not doing this. The orb's not controlling them. It's not some mastermind that is mind controlling these children. It's like all it's doing is making their own natures come out.
Yes.
It's just amplifying what's already there.
It is giving you what you want.
It's giving you what you want. And if what you want is selfish and destructive, that's what you get. And you will pay the consequences for it. But notice, Tsutomu, he makes a couple of wishes with it. And what does he do? He just, I want to meet my hero. The orb makes it happen. Nothing really all that bad happens other than it does make Satan Baiser show up, but I almost called him Tiga. Gaia just takes care of it pretty quickly.
Well, was the Baiser really a result of the bully? Did the bully bring Baiser into reality?
You could make that argument, and then the bully gets it. And what does he do? He's like, I can make a monster. I can tap. I loved the monsters when I was into Ultraman. So I'm going to make the best monster ever because people hate me. They bullied me, so I became a bully. That's basically what you can read it that way. It's like, I got bullied, so I became a bully.
Yes.
I'm going to do what everyone did to me. And now I'm going to punish the world because that's a very kid thing to do. You get angry at the world. And then you take it out on the world. But now he's given the power to actually do so. So he makes his perfect monster. He's going to use to take it out on the world. But then look what happens. They get the orb away from him, and suddenly he's not speaking with the scary voice like I could do on my new soundboard, as I have been demonstrating.
He doesn't talk like this anymore.
Yeah, because the problem with
I swear I didn't have a red orb.
Yeah, because it gets down to a problem with people, with us, is that our passions get stirred up, but we don't. When our passions are stirred up, we don't think about consequences. We just think about what we want.
Yeah.
Right now, right then, the swift settling solution. And it's kind of like what they talk about in the Bible in Matthew chapter 5. About anger in the heart. If you just even once you have anger in the heart, you're already in danger of going before the court for murder.
Yeah,
because you follow the heart determines your actions, and so if you got a lot of hate and anger built up in there, and if it gets allowed a medium in which to express itself like it did in this movie with the red orb, boom, that's what happens.
Yeah, this is like I've been saying, the spirit of Eiji Tsuburaya lives in this, and I do think that in his case, it was Catholic, but if we could just talk about it in the generic Christian sense, this is a weirdly Christian story in a lot of ways. It's about confronting human nature, the fallen, sinful nature of humans, and how if you give them enough power, they will do horrendous things that will eventually lead to universal self-destruction.
Yep.
And even kids are susceptible to it. That should terrify all of us, that even children can be corrupted by this thing.
Yeah, well, because we already start out corrupt already inside.
Well, it's not that he gets corrupted by it, but it to a certain extent it gets twisted, but it amplifies all of it. And it's Gamu who does it. He's just like, I just want to meet my hero, and then he's like, I want to fix everything. You can't. It's too late. So he's like, okay, I'm going to wish for more heroes to come in and take care of the problem.
Yeah.
The consequences don't go away. At least they don't seem to, because then we get to the end of the movie where suddenly everything seems to be fixed, and it's a little confusing. Because I swear we saw the ground under his room collapse. Pretty sure we did. And the school didn't make it either, but the school seems to be fine. It's a little confusing. I don't know what to make of that. I don't think it quite undermines the message of the movie, but still, And look at but even little Tsutomu, he comes around a little bit. He has an arc. What does he do? He was kind of mad at his mom because mom didn't like his, how much he liked Ultraman. What does he do at the end of the movie? It's like, Mom, I love Ultraman, but I love you even more. Yeah. And he just runs away. It's like a very boy thing to do. It's like he comes in, says the sweet thing. He's like, I'm done. And then leaves. And then mom's like, oh, well, thanks. She felt very good, So even he learns a lesson. He also learned to be brave because he was just being a pushover.
Yeah.
And he had to confront that in true kids movie fashion. He has to confront that by doing something extremely brave, which is, hey, you crawl across that piece of debris to go get the MacGuffin.
Yeah.
And he did it. So yeah, it's fascinating. You don't. I wish more kid stories were like this. Don't talk down to the children. Tackle some heavy issues. Do it through the lens of a children's story. Yeah, but if you put it there, you'll not only broaden the appeal and make it something that the adults will enjoy reading, but those kids, they're going to grow up and they're going to look at that story again and they're going to be like, man, there was stuff there I didn't know about.
Yeah.
That I didn't quite catch. Those are the best kids stories.
Mm-hmm.
Man, I could park on that all day. Like if you go from violently anti-nihilist to confronting the darkness of human nature. And what do they both have in common? The solution is light.
Mm-hmm.
How interesting is that? The solution is light in both cases. Because all the Ultramen are beings of light. Something to think about. But really quick, unless you've got anything else, I'm just going to rattle off a couple more quick things and we'll get into the Toku topic.
Well, I just one quick observation. Let's get back to the connection with All Monsters Attack, a.k.a. Godzilla's Revenge.
A.k.a. the founder of your new favorite airline.
Yes. Well, it's dirt cheap. It's within my budget. But anyway, yeah, so because Godzilla's Revenge is kind of known as being sort of encapsulating what life was like in Japan back in 1969, and you might be able to make a similar case with Battle in Hyperspace, and this is kind of like what Japan was like in 1999. And so one thing I was kind of thinking, okay, in that case, Japan certainly got more prosperous in the last 30 years. So if you kind of think in terms of culture and history, it's kind of interesting observing those two movies since they have a similar thing where you have, a child who has, a giant hero, that he fantasizes about. And so, but then you got one in 1969, and he has to deal with poverty. The parents have to work long hours and crime and so forth. And then grungy neighborhoods. And now you got, now Japan's more prosperous. And now the kid is more of a middle-class family, and the mom is available there to take care of him. She doesn't have to work late. He's a lot more comfortable. And although they still have to deal with bullies, but again, the economic situation is not as severe.
Which is interesting because this would have been at about the end of the lost decade, because they had the asset bubble burst at the start of the 90s.
Yes, yeah. But I'm still imagining, because I was in Japan a couple times in the late 90s, and it was certainly better than, say, what Chiro was going through back in 69.
For sure.
So, because, of course, almost everything's relative, because they had that big old boom in the 80s, and everyone was afraid that in the 1980s, Japan was going to buy everything and rule the world.
I know. I've seen Godzilla versus King Ghidorah.
Yeah, and then, of course, then their economic bubble bursts, but I don't think they've regressed as far back as like the way things were back in the 60s when they were still kind of rebuilding out of World War II.
Yeah. Yeah. Although, you know what? It just dawned on me. It's interesting. We see mom. We never see dad. I don't even think dad is ever even mentioned.
No, not in Battle in Hyperspace. I noticed that too.
That's what I mean. In Battle in Hyperspace. Battle in Hyperspace.
Hyperspace. I'm sorry. I said Outer Space. That's sorry.
That's a different movie, sir. It's a very different movie.
But yeah, you're right. Yeah, it's just, but anyway.
Yeah, Jimmy. It's a good thing I said it and not you. Yeah, not the war in space either. Jeez, no need to get triggered. Gee.
But I just like comparing the kind of the whole social and economic thing between those two movies. I think because they're very similar spiritually, and you want to say they take place in the same universe, being the real world. But they have kids who are fans of different things.
Yeah, well, and I also am bringing it up because when you looked up some stuff about Hasegawa, the screenwriter, he also grew up in a single parent home.
Yes,
and we only see mom in this movie.
Yeah. So maybe mom's divorced.
Maybe. I'm starting to think that Tsutomu is Hasegawa.
Possibly.
because there seems to be a little bit of real life experience going into this movie. I'm just saying.
It could be that, or they just didn't have the budget to hire an actor to play the dad, and they figured,
Well, they don't even mention dad. It doesn't cost money to throw in a line to say, like, yeah, my dad is still at work.
Yeah, just say he works at Trailers.
Yeah, or where's my? Or it's like, yeah, the monsters are attacking. Where's dad? Of course, kid doesn't
working more overtime.
Yeah, working all day overtime. I don't know. It's just.
But yeah, you're probably right that he probably was drawing a lot from life experience.
Yeah, I would not.
All writers do that.
Yeah, we do, but I should also, just a couple of quick little factoids here. There was a promo special that aired 2 weeks before the movie released. It was called "Gathering 3 Great Ultra Warriors: Secrets of the Gaia Movie," which was just a lot of stock footage, just saying like, hey, these 3 heroes are going to be in this movie. Go see it. Yeah. But here's the wild part, and I have some friends who are fond of translating Japanese novels into English and making them available. Here's a crazy idea. This got a sequel novel.
Really?
Yeah. And it was also written by Hasegawa, which is weird because I read that there were continuity issues between the movie and the book. It's like, did he not review his own notes and script? Rewatch the movie or something? Again, I'm going off of the Ultra Wiki, but it was called Tiga Dyna and Ultraman Gaia novel, The Adventure in Hyperspace, and it took place 20 years later, and all the kids had grown up.
So where they had their continuity errors?
According to the Ultra Wiki, quote, despite being a continuation from its movie, the novel has a continuity error which conflicts with the setting of Ultraman Gaia. From the movie, Tsutomu summoned Gamu Takayama from post-episode 26, judging from the Ultraman Gaia's V2 evolution and use of the Supreme version. The novel has Tsutomu meeting Gamu again, but the setting had taken place in episode 18, where Ultraman Agyul was attacking the aerial base. And so it's like really big nitpicks now that I'm looking at. Now it's like, Dyna can do both strong and miracle type, despite magazines saying that he can't. Okay, never mind. That sounds really silly. But here's it's very nerdy nitpicks there, but here's the official summary from the Ultra Wiki. 20 years after the events of the movie, peace continues in Tsutomu's world, where he and his friends are now adults. Suddenly one day, Tsutomu, Yu, Hiroshi, Kohei, and Wataru experience the same dream, saying the Red Sphere's resurrection will once again resurface the crisis of world destruction. Will the world end? Wasn't the Red Sphere already destroyed? Must it be that monster again? This makes an unsettling Tsutomu scream, Gamu, save this world! Well, there you go. Because that's something we didn't really talk about. Because Gamu has to make a hard choice. Tsutomu has to make a hard choice. He has to use a wish to make the sphere destroy itself. Because no one else should be able to have this thing. Can't be trusted to anybody. But by doing that, it gets rid of Lisa. Now, it ends up being a moot point because apparently Lisa's real. But I do appreciate the fact that they make this kid make that hard choice. He has to grow up kind of fast. Yeah. Because again, Tsutomu is going the complete opposite of all these other characters. He's only ever trying to use it for, at the very least, innocent things, benign things. He doesn't want to hurt anybody. So that's really put to the test because he has to make the hard choice. He has to make the tough call. And I think, didn't they even say it's like you're the one who has to make this decision?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah. That's interesting. Again, dealing with some pretty tough stuff there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Sequel novel, 20 years later.
Well, let's see if we get that one translated. Since we got the luminous fairies.
Yeah, for sure.
I gotta talk to. I forgot the name. Is his ankles? What's his name?
Angle. Yeah, Dr. Jeffrey Angles. All right, Neil. This has been fun. I think we've covered just about everything. So let's move in to the Toku topic after I do a little bit of promotion for a fellow member of the Culture Box Network. This week, we suggest checking out the Untold podcast. This is a speculative fiction podcast utilizing the genres of sci-fi, fantasy, and horror, among others, in order to engage the culture's imagination from a Christian worldview. Every month, Nathan James Norman produces and narrates a new story, presented in a unique and dynamic way. Check out the Untold podcast at untoldpodcast.com to listen and leave them a review on Apple Podcasts. So, Neil, multiverse theory. Do you remember the first time you heard the term multiverse? Because I do.
Oh, I don't remember when, but probably a good 20, 25 years ago.
Do you remember what it was?
Multiverse? Oh. Doesn't it just kind of get into like the parallel universes is about what it comes down to?
Yeah. Now,
Yeah.
I knew about the concept, I think, probably since I was a kid, sometimes, certainly by the time I was a teenager, because, I read comic books.
Yes.
And I watched a little show called Sliders. Remember that? That was on Fox.
Yeah, a long time ago.
Yeah. So I was familiar with the concept, but I do not remember hearing the term multiverse until I was in college. And I remember this vividly because it was for a quirky little, and by little I mean big budget, Jet Li movie called The One. Did you ever see that movie?
No. I think the first time I ever heard that word, that actual word used, is probably a connection with comic books, when they're like Marvel, DC, when they're trying to bring all their
Yeah. Now, I say that because I remember I was having lunch with some schoolmates when I was in college, and we brought up that movie, and they talked to us like, yeah, they used the term multiverse, and I laughed because I thought that was such a stupid word. Like, somebody in my friends group said that. And it's really stuck with me, and I kind of laugh at it now because it's such a part of our vernacular at the moment. It's just like, it can't be that stupid anymore. Look what's happened to it. Yes, Jimmy, I know. Some people think your life has something to do with the multiverse. Yeah. Sometimes I occasionally wonder if you survived the war in space because of multiverse. Because multiverse. I don't know, but I would just say, I think linguistically, it makes sense. It shouldn't be laughed at as a stupid word because multi means many. In universe means one. Okay? If we're going to allow one, we can allow others. I should actually do research. I did kind of do research to find out when the word, first came into usage. But yeah, Jet Li's The One. I occasionally think I should revisit that movie because that's where I learned that word.
Was that in the 90s?
I think it was early 2000s, actually.
Oh, okay.
It was right when Jet Li was starting to get crazy popular in America. He was quite the rising star at the time. But you might know this, Neil and Kaiju Lovers, by other names like parallel universes, alternate universes, parallel realities, quantum realities, alternative realities, AR. Instead of VR, it's AR, or that's augmented reality, really. But yeah, so it's something that we've just gotten used to hearing now. It's still considered it's barely a theory or a hypothesis in scientific communities. It's still considered more of a science fiction idea.
Yeah.
Speculative fiction idea would be more accurate because fantasy stories delve into this too. But as we always do here on the Monster Island Film Vault, we gotta lay out some definitions for what we're talking about here. But I kind of have to give two definitions here. Got to define what is a universe, and then we'll talk about what is a multiverse. So, the best definition I found for a universe, it'll sound incredibly stupid, well, not stupid, but on the, kind of a duh answer when I bring it up. But according to Science News Today, quote, in the simplest sense, the universe is everything we can observe. All of space, time, matter, and energy governed by the laws of physics. It contains galaxies, stars, planets, and us. Oh, that's a relief. I was a little worried there for a second. Yet our observational reach is limited by the speed of light and the finite age of the cosmos. The observable universe is a sphere. I'd like to know how they know this, but apparently the universe is a sphere about 93 billion light years across, but what lies beyond its horizon is uncertain, end quote. Sure, I've read a few stories that tried to tackle that, but there you go. So what is a multiverse? Well, let's see. What is this from? This is from Wikipedia. I try not to cite Wikipedia quite as much, but this was pretty good, I thought. So I decided to go with it. Quote, the multiverse is the hypothetical set of all universes. Sounds, again, like a little bit of a duh. Together, these universes are presumed to comprise everything that exists, the entirety of space, time, matter, energy, information, and the physical laws and constants that describe them. And then it says, there's all these alternate names for these things. You have parallel universes, flat universes, other universes, multiple universes, plane universes, parent and child universes, which sounds really funny to me. But it does add here at the end, quote, one common assumption is that the multiverse is a quote unquote patchwork quilt of separate universes, all bound by the same laws of physics, end quote. That's going to be important because a lot of these people who are theorizing about this are arguing that basically the existence of the laws of physics is arguably evidence for multiverses. And they say if there are other universes, they're governed by different sets of physics.
I wonder if that's where the Yapul come from.
The Yapul, yeah, well, the Yapul are from a different dimension, don't you remember?
Yeah, they kind of break through ours, literally like breaking a plate glass. And
yeah, which is a striking image. Go watch Ultraman Ace, people. So I found some guys who, while theorizing about this, they came up with different types of universes. But I think, looking at this in my notes, I'm going to save this for a little bit later in our discussion. I'm going to do a quick little rundown here about a bit of a history of this, because this is not as new a concept as people would think. I mean, again, keep in mind, in this movie, we had people talking about Gulliver's Travels. And we wondered, does that count as a multiverse story? Maybe, maybe not, but it is about traveling to different worlds. I think we can agree on that. So, this is actually a pretty old concept, but it was grounded in religion and philosophy and not science. So, for example, the Hindu cosmology had endless cycles of creation and destruction, in which there were constantly new universes being born and dying across eternity. There are Buddhist texts that talk about the infinite world systems, and each are inhabited by beings who are searching for enlightenment. Ancient Greek atomists, that was a term I was not familiar with until I did this research, but atomists, atom, like, like atomic, all right? Like Democritus speculated that innumerable worlds have to exist, and they're born from collisions of atoms in the void. Which is funny because I found out that there are some who have taken that and drawn it out, and they say that other universes can quote unquote collide with each other. Like, I think, is that where they talked about bubbles? I don't remember. We'll get to that in a moment. But apparently whole universes can collide with each other, which is crazy to think about.
So how old, like the one you just quoted, like how long ago was that idea concocted?
Yeah, well, this is ancient Greek.
Ancient Greece. So gosh, so they were already thinking along those lines that far back.
Yeah,
They
well,
hadn't
here you go. Here you go. Here's some more bullet points that I have that expand on that. Some say the concept goes back to pre-Socratic Greek philosopher Anaximander in the 6th century BC.
Dan.
Yeah. But there's debate if he believed in multiple worlds, or if those were, or if the worlds he was talking about were coexistent or successive. So there's some dispute. However, I mentioned those ancient Greek atomists. Those are the ones that historians say, they're the ones who came up with this concept, and that was with we mentioned, what is it, Democritus. Well, he also had a friend named Leucippus. I hope I said that right. Leucippus. It's Greek. It is Greek to me. Oh, come on. Come on. Hit the right button. All right. And that was in the 5th century BC. And that was followed by Epicurus, who lived from 341 to 270 BC. And then the Roman Epicurean Lucretus in the 1st century BC. And you had, it says, by the 3rd century BC, you had a philosopher named, Chrysippus, who suggested that the world eternally expired and regenerated, which would argue for the existence of multiple universes. And then that became more defined by the Middle Ages. And then in the Renaissance, you had a guy named Giordano Bruno, who lived from 1548 to 1600, who expressed a concept of infinite worlds. Okay. And then we have please tell me you've heard of this guy, Neil. William James. Have you heard of William James?
No.
Have you heard of his brother, the author, Henry James?
Ooh, sounds a little familiar.
Okay. Guess you didn't read all the same books I did when I was in school. But I read some Henry James book when I was in college. But William James was his brother. He was an American philosopher and psychologist, and he used the term multiverse in 1895, but it was in a very different context. Didn't explain what the context was, but he used the term multiverse in a different context. But the concept first appeared in a modern scientific context in a debate between two gentlemen named Boltzmann and Zermelo in 1895. Here's the interesting thing, though. Edgar Allan Poe wrote, I read, it was called basically like a poetic essay, and it was called Eureka, an essay, or prose poetry. I think it would be a better way to put it. But it's called Eureka, an essay on the material and spiritual universe, where he talked about a limitless succession of universes. That was in 1848, like I said. But
I love to know what inspired people to even come with that concept that far back. Holy cow.
Yeah. But the term, scientists coined the term multiverse in the 1900s. And this, according to one author I looked at, it said it sparked curiosity from experts and regular folks alike. Yeah. Now, I'm sure you know this guy. I didn't realize that this guy's work is apparently connected to multiverse theory, but Erwin Schrödinger, you have to know who Erwin Schrödinger is.
No.
You've never heard of Schrödinger's cat?
No.
You, what? I thought all the nerds knew about Schrödinger's cat.
I guess I have to turn my nerd card, I guess. I don't know.
It was a famous thought experiment.
Oh. I'm just not smart as you.
Oh my gosh. He's equally as shocked.
Yeah, well.
Wow, my dude. Wow. I need a moment. But anyway, in Dublin in 1952, he gave a lecture where he said he warned his audience that this whole thing might seem lunatic, and he gave equations that seemed to describe several different histories, and that these were not alternatives but all really happened simultaneously. And this duality was called superposition, which became a thing in multiverse theory later. But I also saw some sources that brought up his famous thought experiment about Schrodinger's cat in connection to this. I highly recommend looking it up. It's actually kind of interesting. It's a bit mind-bendy, but it's interesting. And I found some famous proponents of the multiverse, and it comes from people you may not necessarily expect to be proponents of this, because most scientists are skeptics of the multiverse because they're like, there's no way we can even test for this.
Yeah.
And those famous proponents include Stephen Hawking and, of all people, Neil deGrasse Tyson.
Well, I'm kind of not surprised there, because Neil, Mr. deGrasse Tyson always struck me as a science fiction fan, so I think he'd be, just because of his personal passions, open to the idea.
Yeah, but he poo-poos the existence of kaiju.
Yeah, and he also doesn't believe Pluto is a planet, so
yeah. I agree with you, Jimmy. I, too, do not have respect for Pluto deniers. Anyway, the thing what makes the multiverse such an interesting draw, as the Science News today was putting it, is that it taps into the longings and fears of humanity. We want to know if we're unique, or if we're the only ones like us, or if there's an infinite number of versions of ourselves, because the idea of doppelgangers is another key appeal of this. And they're walking through all these different possibilities. We imagine all these different worlds with different histories, and where people made different choices, where our doppelgangers made different choices and are living different lives. There's a lot of appeal to that, which is why you see it a lot in fiction. Now, I found a quotation from a gentleman named Halpern, who said, quote, "In science, the idea can be split into the quantum multiverse and the cosmological multiverse. The quantum multiverse is a possible answer to the questions of what happens when measurements are taken in quantum physics and how human life is connected to the quantum world," end quote. I think that makes sense. And you know what? I'm going to bring this one up, even though it's not one of my highlighted notes. But there was a guy named Tom Siegfried who wrote a book called The Number of the Heavens.
Okay.
And he said that scientists want to find out if the multiverse is real to answer questions like this. Why are the fundamental constants of nature what they are? Why is there enough time in our universe to make stars and planets? Why do stars shine the way they do with just the right amount of energy? All those things are questions that we don't have answers for in our physical theories. I mean, I can tell you why I think that is, but, I'm a creationist.
Well,
or
not
at
that
least
I'm saying that it's aliens.
Bare minimum, a proponent of intelligent design.
Yeah. I was going to say, not that I want to say that it's aliens, but it's aliens.
Aliens.
Yeah, I know. Kind of that long, old, overworn out joke.
Yeah. Well, how did Jimmy from NASA survive the war in space? Aliens. Oh, come on. It makes just as much sense as anything else.
Yeah, well, this is what, people, fall back on. They argue, like, well, you're really sure that the Big Bang and everything's here just by accident without any providence whatsoever?
And we'll get into that, because all these multiverse theories go back to the Big Bang.
Oh.
Yeah. So basically, there was another guy who looked at it and said, like, there's two possible explanations. First, we need newer, better theories about the universe, or we're just one of many universes that are different, and we live in the one that's nice and comfortable, and the rest aren't. That's mildly horrifying there.
Yeah.
So I found a couple different variations on the theory. The one I saw most often was called inflation cosmology theory, or the bubble universe. Now, we're talking about science. We're talking about science and not economics. Okay, this is not that kind of inflation. All right. So this was proposed in the 1880s by physicists named Alan Guth and Andre Linde, or Lind. Hope I said that right. And to put it succinctly, from one of my sources, quote, although the Big Bang Theory offers a valid explanation for the origin of the universe, it has three significant problems. First of all, it doesn't explain the flat geometry of our universe. In addition, it also doesn't account for the monopole problem and the horizon problem associated with our universe. In other words, the Big Bang Theory fails to explain why there is so much homogeneity in the universe's structure, end quote. But to put it succinctly, as this isn't quite getting into it, here it is. This is the definition I was looking for. This describes a hypothetical event that happened when our universe was very young, as in less than a second old, which is crazy to think about. And in that brief amount of time, the universe had a period of rapid expansion, or inflation, and became many orders of magnitude larger than its previous size. Okay? Are we following that? And this was 14 billion years ago. I also saw a number that said it was 13.8 billion, but, who's counting?
Only talking 200,000 years.
No, 200,000.
200 million, I'm sorry.
Yeah, 200 million, sir.
I had to take my shoes off and start counting my toes to get up there. So
yeah. There you go. So now some said that the inflation stopped. Some say the inflation is still going. But I usually hear people say that the universe is still expanding. So there you go. But yeah, according to this source I looked at, quote, thus, while inflation ended in our universe, there may have been other much more distant regions where inflation continued and continues even today. Individual universes can pinch off of larger inflating, expanding universes, creating an infinite sea of eternal inflation. Well, there's a horrifying concept. Eternal inflation. It's going to be the name of somebody's punk rock band or something right there. Eternal inflation, filled with numerous individual universes. That was said by an author named Sutter. So, basically, as the universe continues to inflate and expand, these create their own laws of physics and collection of particles, arrangements of forces and fundamental constants. And that explains why our universe has the properties that it does, particularly ones that are hard to explain, such as dark matter or the cosmological constant. Again, I can solve that for you. Its name is God. But anyway.
Yeah. Well, it is kind of like the secular scientists are working very hard to do an end run around God, and it's like
Yeah. Jimmy, I don't need to have this debate with you right now, okay? It's my show. Anyway. So here's what's kind of nuts. There was a guy named Sutter. I referenced him before, but he actually said that the best evidence for the existence of the multiverse is that life itself exists, particularly intelligent life capable of cosmological observations. So basically, because humans exist, the multiverse must exist. Because our universe seems to be special and important for supporting life, as he puts it, such as the longevity of stars, the abundance of carbon, the availability of light for photosynthesis, and the stability of complex nuclei.
Is this where Toho gets their science from for their movies?
I'm starting to wonder.
Yeah, and this was just making this up as they go along.
Yeah, this was an idea put forward. Sutter was referencing this guy, McCullen Sandora, who he says is an affiliate research scientist at the Blue Marble Space Institute of Science. Of course you interned there. Sure, dude. Sure. But here's the thing. If this is true, it means the multiverse is not only possible, but inevitable. It doesn't exist already. So, scientists have searched for physical evidence of the multiverse. Quote, if a neighboring universe happened to be close to ours long ago, it may have collided with our universe, creating a detectable imprint. That imprint could be in the form of distortions in the cosmic microwave background. Cosmic microwave background.
So what's in between the universes? What fills that space?
I'm not sure, but no, but this, I think this parentheses.
I don't think I doubt they're sure either.
Yeah, but I think this parenthesis is supposed to explain this wild term that I just read. It says the light left over from when the universe was 1,000,000 times smaller than it is today. Okay. Or in strange galaxy properties in the direction of the collision, according to the early universe blog published by University College London. But all of these types of searches have come up empty, so the multiverse remains hypothetical. I'm sure it's not all that hypothetical for you. Do you know anything about the cosmic microwave background? You use it to make popcorn. Okay, whatever, dude. Whatever on that, dude. Yeah. So that's one. So it seems to be one of the more common ones because I found that in basically everything. The universe is constantly expanding, and then because of that, some parts are expanding, some aren't, and it's creating different pockets that branch off into other universes. That's basically what it boils down to. Another one I found a lot is the many worlds interpretation of quantum mechanics. Oh, boyser, quantum mechanics. You ready for some quantum mechanics, Neil?
I guess. Let's go for it.
Yeah.
Let's do the deep dive.
Yeah, here we go. So, according to Science News Today, in the 1950s, physicist Hugh Everett, proposed the many worlds interpretation. In quantum mechanics, particles exist in superpositions. Remember, we talked about superpositions a few minutes ago, of states until measured, collapsing into a definite outcome. Everett asked, what if the collapse never happens? What if all outcomes occur, each in a different branch of reality? End quote. Okay. By the way, this was another source I found says this was specifically in 1957. So it's talking about branching timelines and alternate realities where our decisions would play out differently. So basically, if this is true, this is another one I see a lot. And if you think about it too hard, it starts getting a little horrifying and mind bendy. But basically, the idea is that every quantum event will split off in multiple directions. So if you flip a coin, in one universe, it'll come up heads, and in another, it'll be tails. When an atom decays, one branch contains the decay and another one does not. But that's a simple one. Basically, whenever something happens, there are different universes where each possible outcome could happen. If you take a six-sided die and you roll it, every time you roll it, there are 5 other universes where the die came up different. So it creates this quote-unquote ever-expanding tree of possibilities where every chance event generates a new reality. That is just crazy. It's like that seems to imply, this is like, if you really want to get nuts about this, every time a human being makes a decision, they create another universe where they made a different decision. If I go to an intersection and I turn right, I have created another universe where I turned left. I don't know why I would turn left, but I turned left.
Boy, I don't know about that. Well,
Yeah.
in that case, and then with these new universes, your doppelganger is making different decisions, and then that what? You
Yeah,
got
then
this
it's like I said, it just starts
branching
this ever expanding tree. Like it
and
said.
where is this thing all being contained?
Yeah, that it starts begging a lot of questions. Like I said, that's why the many worlds thing starts getting compounded nuttiness. That's the only way I can think of to describe it.
And I thought the DC universe got a little convoluted. Holy cow!
Yeah, at least in that one, they generally only had 52 of them. The Marvel multiverse is infinite.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what are all of these universes? Well, according to Drake, quote, they're all overlapping in dimensions we can't access. Now, there was a guy at MIT, I saw him reference in some of my sources. He was Max Tegmark, and he has different classifications of universes for this that we're going to be getting into. Now, here's one I'm pretty sure you've heard about, because this is a popular one to talk about. String theory.
Oh yeah, I heard the term.
You've heard the term string theory. It's also
I read
called,
about it, on Astronomy magazine, probably back in the early 2000s, but I've forgotten what it all.
yeah,
about.
it's also called landscape multiverse.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So basically, according to the Science News Today, quote, string theory proposes that the building blocks of reality are not particles, but tiny vibrating strings existing in a space of up to 10 or 11 dimensions. These extra dimensions are compactified. That is apparently a word, compactified.
Well, it's a word now.
So I guess that means compactification is a thing. Spell check doesn't like it, but apparently that is a word. Curled up in ways that determine the laws of physics we observe, end quote. I'm getting flashbacks to the Fates from Greek mythology. How they're weaving all these threads for each individual life. And then the scary part is that they would take scissors and cut them, and that's when someone would die. So is that implying that can happen to a universe? Like somebody will just cut the string and the universe dies?
That could be a scary Ultraman episode with the pool being interdimensional, and they get out their scissors.
Oh my gosh, the universe!
Ultraman, we're sick of you.
Oh no, not the universe scissors.
Okay, Ace, you're gonna finally get yours. We got our scissors.
We got the scissors. That actually, yeah, Ace is a cracked out show that would probably do something like that. Anyway, also from Science News Today, quote, the problem, or perhaps the wonder, is that string theory allows for an enormous number of possible compactifications on the order of 10 to the 500th power different solutions. Let that sink in. 10 to the 500th power.
Why stop there? With all these different ideas, I don't. Maybe because I hadn't seen these articles, so maybe they're pointing to something that's inspiring to think that. But it's like, okay, what's your evidence for this? And it's like they're just kind of like this concocting ideas. It's almost more philosophical than scientific.
Yeah, which we'll be getting into that in a little bit here. But it goes on to say each corresponds to a universe with its own laws, constants, and particles. This landscape of possibilities suggests that our universe is just one point in a vast multiverse. The values of our physical constants, such as the strength of gravity or the mass of the electron, may not be unique necessities, but accidents of where we happen to live in this landscape, end quote. Again, I point you to a funny little thing called God. Anyway, intelligent design people. It's not hard. But then I found out there's also what's called brain, BRANE, cosmology, as in membrane. This is where the bubbles come in.
Tiny bubbles.
I know that was not a sentence you expected to hear today. That's where the bubbles come in. Oh my gosh. Also from Science News Today, quote, our universe may be a membrane or brain floating in a higher dimensional space. This concept arises from certain string theory models in which multiple brains coexist, each hosting its own universe. These brains might collide or interact, producing phenomena such as new big bangs, end quote. Oh, that doesn't sound insane at all. One universe bumps into another universe and causes a big bang. Okay. I love how they just casually throw stuff like this out there. Yet I'm also thinking that there was a point when the Manhattan Project was going on and Oppenheimer said, 5% chance we, detonate this bomb and it incinerates the world. 5%. Hey, Gaia, you want to travel to another universe? 5% chance you cause another big bang. Just 5%? Oh my gosh. Oh, sure, you did it. It didn't cause a big bang, but 95%. Anyway, I made up those numbers, right? You know that 90% of statistics are made up on the spot, right? Right? Huh? See what I did there? Huh? See what I did there? Huh? Anyway. So Science News Today goes on, in this scenario, parallel universes may not be infinitely distant, but only a small dimension away, hidden from us because we are trapped on our own brain. Gravity, unlike other forces, might leak between brains. Leaking gravity. Is that a song that wasn't in Wicked? I'm not sure. Was that like the parody song that they didn't like, Leaking Gravity?
Yeah.
Anyway, gravity, unlike other sources, might leak between brains, offering potential experimental hints. Experimental hints from leaking gravity. The image is both haunting and thrilling. Universes stacked alongside ours, invisible yet profoundly close, yet unseen rooms in a cosmic mansion. End quote. Cosmic mansion. There's also the mathematical multiverse hypothesis, which I also saw referred to as a theory of everything. Did you ever know about that? A theory of everything.
Well, that sounds pretty comprehensive.
Yeah. So a guy named Fraguli says, quote, another fascinating idea is the mathematical universe hypothesis developed by physicist Max Tegmark. The hypothesis supposes that if mathematical structures exist, then every structure could map to a distinct universe. What this suggests is that the universe we live in is one in a multiverse of many, and that each may be accounted for by different mathematical descriptions. Basically, this guy is reducing everything to math. I don't know how I feel about that. This guy telling me that existence is math.
Well, I kind of had that concept in Doctor Who with the episode of Logopolis. You had mathematicians that kind of keeping the universe together, doing other little calculations in their alcoves. Yeah.
Now, I don't want to get too much into it because I don't want to, I don't want this to be a super long episode. But I found some sources that talked about how this related to dark matter and shadow matter. That is a variation of dark matter, which is supposed to be matter that exists parallel to other matter. That's why it's the shadow matter, even though it sounds like something you would collect in a video game.
Yeah.
I need more shadow matter to do my dark matter magic or whatever.
Yeah.
Now, you know what? Shadow matter is what the black hole gun in Mega Garrus runs on.
Yes, that's it.
There you go. What is it? The dimension tide. There you go. That's what it runs on shadow matter. I guarantee you it runs on shadow matter. Good. You look into that. Yeah. So it talks about how that relates to it. But here's the thing. They say that the multiverse has to exist because our universe is so well suited for life, because if the universe expanded too fast, that would keep galaxies from forming. And if it was too slow, it would make it said, I don't know how they know this, but they say it would make the existence of atoms that are heavier than hydrogen, it would prevent their existence, their very existence, which is why they talk about fine tuning, the fine tuning of the universe. Why should the law, this is a quotation here from Science News Today. It says, why should the laws of nature be so finely balanced? One answer is that there is only one universe and its laws are necessarily as they are. But another possibility is that there are countless universes with different laws, and we simply find ourselves in one of the rare ones where life is possible. This explanation, though controversial, transforms fine-tuning from a mystery into a selection effect, a natural outcome of the multiverse, end quote. So basically, because our universe is so finely tuned, the multiverse must exist.
I guess I'm just not smart enough to make that connection.
Yeah. So, scientists trying to find evidence of the existence of the multiverse, because they say you can't test this, because that's the backbone of science. Yeah, it's testing things, observing things. Well, you say this isn't science; it's metaphysics.
Yeah, I mean, even before you get to the testing aspect, what you observe out there on your telescopes that lead you to believe that any of this is even plausible?
Yeah.
That's why I said this is more philosophical, where people just kind of sat in their own heads for a little too long thinking and what they came up with,
Yeah, so they try observing distortions in electromagnetic radiation left over from an early stage of the universe. How did they find those? They also say certain types of black holes. Oh, we know all about black holes. Because apparently you can make a gun that shoots black holes. Also, evil Godzillas come out of black holes. We don't talk about black holes. Evil Godzillas and terrible movies come out of black holes. I'm not talking about the Disney movie, okay? What the heck, man? All right. So, and then Ferguli says some researchers think that traces of universes interacting might show up on cosmic microwave, on the CMB, the cosmic microwave background radiation. Okay. Ferguli also talks about a thing called quantum tunneling. Quantum tunneling. Quote, while quantum tunneling between universes might be theoretically possible in some models of quantum mechanics, it would require vast amounts of energy and could potentially violate fundamental principles of physics. End quote. You think?
Yeah.
You think? So I mentioned I had to do a little bit of digging, but I found it. So Mr. Tegmark has a 4-level classification system for multiverses. Are you ready for this?
Okay.
We have level 1, which is an extension of our universe. Level 2, those are universes with different physical constants. Level 3 is the many worlds interpretation of quantum physics, which we talked about. And level 4, this is just nuts. It's called Ultimate Ensemble. Ultimate Ensemble. All right. And if you want to know what that is, according to Wikipedia, in physics and cosmology, the mathematical universe hypothesis. Okay, we did talk about that. That's just a fancy term for, where I joked about how everything gets reduced to math. According to the hypothesis, the universe is a mathematical object in and of itself. Okay. That's just wild. And then there was a guy named Brian Greene who had 9 types of multiverses. And it includes a bunch of the stuff that we've already talked about. Quilted, inflationary, brain, cyclic, landscape, quantum, holographic. Holographic? Is this the Matrix? Simulated, again, the Matrix, and ultimate. The ultimate universe. Didn't Marvel do that? I'm just saying. Let me see. A lot of these we've already talked about. So let's see. Holographic. The holographic multiverse is derived from the theory that the surface area of a space can encode the constants of the volume of the region. What? Simulated multiverse exists on complex computer systems. It's the Matrix that simulate entire universes. Put forward by an astronomer named Avi Loeb. And that he said that universes may be creatable in laboratories of advanced technological civilizations who have a theory of everything. Good Lord. And then Ultimate Multiverse contains every mathematically possible universe under different laws of physics. So it has everything, all possibilities. Okay. Is your brain sufficiently bent right now?
Yeah.
Now, I just want to highlight there's a lot of examples that you could point to with this. There is an entry on Wikipedia that's parallel universes in fiction, and it is by no means extensive. I'm surprised it wasn't 20 plus pages long. But in case you were wondering, apparently the first multiverse story was written by a guy named Murray Leinster, and it was a short story called Sidewise in Time.
Well, Murray Leinster, yeah, I'm familiar with him. I love his novels.
Yeah, what was that, Jimmy? You know what? I don't believe for a second that this is about you. But anyway, it was published in 1934. It's not the first example, so I stand corrected from my own notes, but it is credited with popularizing the idea. But then you have stuff like Flash of Two Worlds from Flash number 123 in 1961. It's a comic book. And you have movies like Everything Everywhere All at Once from 2022, the Spider-Verse films. I mentioned the TV series Sliders. In anime, you have a thing called isekai, which is about characters being transported to a parallel universe that's believed to be fictional. It's usually video games. It's also a massive anime cliche, and I'm sick of it. And then in fan fiction, you have Alternate Universe, or AU, which explores different possibilities not seen in the original media. Most of it's terrible.
Yeah.
Alrighty. Well, this was a little quotation that was hinted at in one of the articles I looked at, so I went and found the whole thing, and I think it summarizes this whole search for the multiverse pretty well as a lot of what we've been talking about with the movie as well. It's from Einstein, and it says, quote, "The most beautiful thing we can experience is the mysterious. It is the source of all true art and science. He to whom the emotion is a stranger, who can no longer pause to wonder and stand wrapped in awe, is as good as dead. His eyes are closed." End quote. You need a second?
Yeah, I don't know. I got brain overload hearing all that stuff. Yeah, I suppose that mystery is kind of is the spark of life.
Yeah. So people are always going to want to chase down the multiverse because it's mysterious, I suppose.
Yeah, I don't know. Well, until I hear what like I said, where they're basing these ideas on, it's just I mean, they make the most contrived science fiction films that we've seen seem plausible now after hearing all that.
Yeah, well, the multiverse has become such an abused trope at this point.
Yeah,
the problem, and this is the thing, and I do think philosophically, as interesting an idea as the multiverse is, the problem is that when you use it poorly in fiction, it starts making everything meaningless.
Yeah, because whenever you're in a corner with your story, you just do some parallel dimension thing. I like to know with all these guys that came up with ideas, do they get paid to think that stuff up?
Some of them probably do.
It's so like, man, sign me up for that gig. Probably a lot easier than.
Yeah. Well, another example of the multiverse that actually might have been one of the earliest examples that I came across as a kid was in Star Trek, the Mirror Universe.
Mm-hmm.
From Mirror Mirror, where in that one, the whole idea is that everything is the opposite.
Yes.
All of the characters are evil. It's not a federation, it's an empire. I suppose it fits within the concept.
Well,
But it's the whole idea is that, it's the yin to the yang, the positive to the negative.
yes.
The neutron to the electron, that sort of a thing. It's the opposite charge. Okay, guys.
Matter and antimatter.
Matter and antimatter. Yeah. It's just, okay, guys, if you say so. But yeah, it's an interesting idea. I don't think it can be proven scientifically. And in fiction, it can come across as kind of contrived. It's a get out of jail free card. And it makes things too easy. And if improperly used, and can make things kind of meaningless. But if done well, you can start asking some really interesting questions. So there's that at the very least. Personally, I do believe that the multiverse exists. And if people want to ask, well, how can that be possible? If you as a Christian, how can you say that? Because clearly there can only be one, because that's the one we're living in. It's like, yeah, but God knows all possibilities. He doesn't just know what's going to happen. He knows everything that could happen.
Well, he's three persons in one, so you got that aspect. Even there, but he's operating from a basis of multi-dimensional.
Yeah.
It's like, how can you be three persons in one? Yeah. Well, okay.
Yeah, because God is transcendental. And if there's something that reading hardcore science fiction has taught me, eventually these very scientifically minded authors veer off into transcendentalism, because science can only take you so far.
Yeah. Well, the thing with science, it operates with the observable. And once you start talking about these multiverses, now you're talking about something that's not observable, so it's no longer science.
Yeah.
And that's where the whole problem comes in. It's like, how many different ways we can think of, because especially when they get into the whole issue of the origins of the universe, it's like you're trying to come up with a way, instead of saying, I just don't know, you come up with this contrived idea that kind of amounts to, I don't know, because you can't prove what your idea.
Yeah, that's basically what it amounts to. But
or what we were saying before, you try to do an end run around God, because we don't want to believe in God because, well, that makes us sound superstitious. So we come up with an idea that sounds, well, if we put enough fancy verbiage to it, it'll sound smart.
Yeah. You're not wrong. Oh, calm down. Okay, I get it. No more sermonizing. I swear. All right, let's start wrapping up, Neil.
Alrighty.
All right, no listener feedback to go over right now. But if you would like to get a hold of us, listen to the credits, because you should always listen to the credits to get all of our contact information, and do things like send us emails, leave reviews on on Apple Podcasts and Spotify and all that fun stuff. And I'll be sure to read them, especially on Apple Podcasts. Those are a little easier to track down. And leave us comments on the YouTube versions of our episodes, because we'll read and respond to those too. Neil is very fond, at least he was for a while, of leaving comments on all the YouTube versions of the episodes.
Yeah, well, then I got so much overtime, I don't get a chance to listen to them anymore. Yeah.
Make time! If you could create dimensions with all of your choices, you can make time.
I can't even do multiverses, so I'm going to do the time thing. I'm at work all day from 4:30 to 4:30.
No excuses. All right. So anyway, yeah, that's how you can send us feedback. We love listener feedback. Send us more. All right. We'll even take messages on social media, okay? We're not picky around here. I'm just saying. All right. But now, Neil, it's time for the Patreon shout-outs.
I shall ask thee once again, will you chant my name?
Never has this bumper been so apropos, because it's from Ultraman Z. Yay! Starting with the Day Pass tourist, Eli Harris.
Redeem Otaku Podcast.
Eric Anderson. Anderson of Nerd Chapel.
Winja the Ninja.
Edwin Gonzalez.
Jonathan Courtwright.
Leah Kimball.
Michael Watson.
Eric Pearl. And now, at the Weekend Pass Tourist, we have Matt Walsh, but not that Matt Walsh.
Devin Torrance.
And now, at the VIP Pass Tourist level, we have Daniel Demana of the Godzilla Novelization Project.
All right, Christopher Reiner.
One of my co-hosts on Henshin Power V3, along with Jay Cambrick.
The Cellcast.
And now at the Season Pass Tourists, because both of these guys are crazy and generous, we have executive producer David Noyes.
Sam Allred.
Tofu Fiore! God! I'm sure we birthed at least 5 universes doing that. I don't know how, but given how nuts multiverse theory is, I'm sure we did something.
I accidentally murdered a few with my pronunciations.
Yeah, maybe we did that too.
Courtwright. How come I heard? Oh, well.
This is why editing exists. You didn't hear his mistakes.
Yeah.
He's old and deaf.
Huh?
You want me to get you a hearing aid for your birthday? Ay, poor Neil. Poor Neil. But anyway, if you, Kaiju lovers, would like to get shout outs like this, join MIFE Max on Patreon for as little as $3 a month, where you can get exclusive podcasts, bonus audio, and behind the scenes features like scripts and what else? Yeah, it's scripts and some behind the scenes blogs where I talk about the making of the podcast. And we have many hours of exclusive bonus material for you to listen to. It's kind of crazy. You can get stuff on there. You know what? Sometimes I do follow-ups to some of the published episodes. For example, I brought back Ben Avery and we talked about the 3-hour TV version of Kong 76. Because I had him on all the way back in season 1 to talk about the theatrical version. So I figured, why not? Let's talk about the 3-hour version. Spoiler warning, the 3-hour version is not nearly as good as Peter Jackson's. It was overlong and kind of boring and occasionally weird.
Mm-hmm.
Join MIFE Max if you want to hear all about it. And I will probably have Neil on for a future MIFE Max episode where we can finally, thank you, Vinegar Syndrome, we can talk about the surviving Korean cut of Yongari.
Yay! Yongari approves.
Yongari approves. It's only like 45 minutes, but it exists. And Vinegar Syndrome gave it to the world. Anyway, so something to look forward to. All right, Neil. I had you on for, appropriately, for Return of Godzilla. So I need to talk about our next couple of episodes. And I say that's apropos because the next episode that we have will be Godzilla Redux. And we're going to be talking about Roger Corman's controversial and inferior Americanization of that movie, Godzilla 1985.
All right.
Yeah. My hot take is after I saw Return of Godzilla, I'm like, this Godzilla 1985 is vastly inferior. I don't care if it's got Raymond Burr in it, being the one guy trying to bring dignity to the production. The only thing it has over the Japanese version is his speech at the end, which he wrote, which explains why it's better than everything else.
Yeah, it would be fun to do a fan edit. We can just somehow pluck that out of 85 and find some way to stick it in the
Japanese cut.
Yeah.
Yeah, but then we wouldn't have the sad song that they always use to close out G-Fest.
That's true. But yeah, that as far as with Godzilla 85, I think we have some good chance to get some arguing going there because actually I think Godzilla 85 was a good movie in its own right. It's kind of like the difference between the Japanese version and the American version of King Kong versus Godzilla.
I think no, dude, you know it's closer to Godzilla 54 and King of the Monsters 56.
Oh, which comparison are you doing between
from 85 and Return?
Mm-hmm.
It's the more apropos comparison is Godzilla 54 and King of the Monsters 56. You know that's what it is.
Oh, well, the reason I used the clown because people always say that the John Beck version is vastly inferior to the Toho version.
Yeah.
So, in which case you mentioned that Godzilla 85 is vastly inferior to the original version.
Yeah. I don't know. I will say Godzilla 1985 does have its fans and defenders, and apparently a ton of them want to be on this episode to make their valiant defense. Apparently we need 3 of them to do this, at least at the moment. I have scheduled for that episode Ben Avery, Autistic Lizard Pro, and for the first time, Nick Adam. No, Nick Adam, not Nick Adams, you weirdo. Okay? I know he's your spirit animal. Whatever. Anyway, Nick Adam, a fellow Hoosier, I might add, of the YouTube channel, The Monster Reports. All right. And then we are getting back to the Ultra Journey to talk about the next Ultraman movie that came out after this one. It's arguably the conclusion of the TDG or Tiga Dyna Gaia trilogy with Ultraman Tiga, The Final Odyssey. And at the moment, depending on how things shake out, who knows, maybe I'll get both of them. I don't know. But I will have either Zimzilla, a YouTuber, or longtime friend of the podcast, Daniel Demana of the Godzilla Novelization Project on for that one. All right, Neil. And now it's time for MIFE's trademark and highly memeable segment. Say it with me now. Shameless self-promotion. What do you got? Yeah, yay! What do you got for us?
Well, shameless self-promotion. Well, nothing really new has come up since the last time I was on the island. So basically, I just tell folks there, you got to check out my Kaiju novels on Amazon.com. Just look me up under my name, Neil Riebe, and see what you're going to find.
You might want to tell people how to spell it.
Well, yeah, I imagine when you have your show there, you'll have my name spelled correctly.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, so they just read it off the title card to the episode there.
It's Neil with an I, and Riebe is Riebe. I say that because it took me a while to learn how to spell it.
Yeah. Yeah, I have 5 great books out there that you're just going to absolutely love. It's like I always consider my books are the greatest kaiju novels you've never read. So, so it's time for you to get out there and read them. And plus, when you Google my name on Amazon, there you'll see also other publications that contribute to over the years, including a lot of John LeMay's books and magazines I've made contributions to.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And just so everybody knows, your newest book is Kaiju Bites?
Yes, Kaiju Bites. Yes, it's an anthology. It's all my collected short stories, from Attack of the Kaiju anthologies and G-Fan. Mm-hmm. Although there's the latest Attack of the Kaiju Volume 3, the story that's in there, of course, is not in Kaiju Bites because those 2 books came out at the same time. So, the rights to that particular story hasn't reverted back to me yet. But in any case, it's plus it has a brand new story in there that's not in any other previous publication. So it's not like all old stuff.
Yeah. Fun fact, I am also in Attack of the Kaiju Volume 3.
I see you're in Volume 2 also, aren't you?
Yes, I'm also in Volume 2.
Yeah.
And I'm also in Reign of the Titans, Volume 1.
Now, when they republished Volume 1, were you able to slip in a contribution for that one?
No.
Okay.
They kept Volume 1 as it was.
So I thought they added a few things in there.
I don't think so.
If they did, I think it might have been some nonfiction pieces. I think the fiction remained as is.
Yeah, I don't know. But I am getting a copy of Volume 1 very soon. All right. So yes, there's that. And speaking of short story collections, I have a new one out. It's called The Worlds of Nathan Marchand, Volume 2, Tales of the Lost and Lonely. And just like Volume 1, it is a collection of rare and unpublished short stories by yours truly. This time around, most of them, if not all of them, arguably are literary and not speculative fiction. One is implicitly time travel, and 2 of them are thrillers. But otherwise, they're like I said, more literary stories. Some of them are comedies, I will admit. So look for that on Amazon. You can also, like I said, listen to the credits to, figure out where to follow us on all the socials and all that. Also check out my other podcast, Henshin Power V3, where 3 friends have 3 minutes to talk about tokusatsu. There, we're talking about tokusatsu, specifically superhero, Henshin hero television. And we talk about 5 to 10 episodes of TV per podcast episode. But like Ultraman, we only have 3 minutes to talk about each episode. And then check out my author website, NathanJSMarchand.com, where you can learn about my kaiju books, such as Destroyer and the Rondo-nominated essay book, Giant Bug Cinema, where I ended up writing about Monster from Green Hell because I came in late and no one else wanted it. Giant wasps in Africa in the 1950s. I suppose I could do worse. Ended up comparing it to War of the Worlds, weirdly enough. Read it and you'll understand what I did. Anyway, I also contribute to Kaiju United, and I am part of the Scyther Inc. audio dramas stable of actors. You can hear me as my thankfully former roommate Rito on Power Rangers, the audio drama, Deadpool, of all people, on X-Men, the audio drama, and Johnny Storm, baby, on Avengers, the audio drama, whenever they cross over with the Fantastic Four. All right. Thanks, Neil, for coming on the show again. I don't think you're going to be in season 5 nearly as much as you were in season 4. Good Lord. You were one of the kings of season 4. You were just coming on for everything.
Oh, well, I just like the donuts you have in the executive office there,
Oh, I see how it is. I see how it is. You want the special donuts. I get it.
Yeah.
That's what they put in them? I'm going to pretend I didn't hear that because I don't want to have to testify.
I'm going to pretend I didn't hear that either.
Yeah. Smart move. Anyway.
Or they account for a lot of my quirks too, now that
yeah, possibly. Who knows?
It's a special ingredient in the donuts.
Yeah. You might
seriously right for eating food that was meant for aliens anyway.
You might want to lay off the donuts for a bit. I'm just saying.
Yeah, I appreciate all the invites out the island. I always love it.
Well, I mean, I was like, what would you like to come on the show for? You just said any Godzilla movie. I'm like, okay.
That still stands.
Because only Godzilla can eclipse your love for Yongari.
Yeah, I guess that's a fair statement.
Well, I'm sorry that there aren't 30 plus Yongari movies for you to come on all the time about. You got to settle for Godzilla.
Although I think the South Korean film industry should revisit, getting Yongari going. I mean, what the heck? I mean, Gamera has a franchise, Godzilla has a franchise. They got to start, I mean, K-pop or I say like all the, like South Korean pop culture, is starting to, get a little more a following. They're competing with Japan. It's like, okay, since you guys your music's getting popular, movies are getting popular, you got to get Yongari back, not as that reptilian thing.
I get it. My pseudo sister tells me that K-pop stars like to hunt demons.
So, come on, guys, dust him off. He is your original king of the monsters. Do something with him. Give him some opponents. Give him some allies. Give him some beautiful female co-stars.
Maybe a little preparation H. I'm just saying. If you know, you know.
Well, sometimes those things happen. It's just
yes, they do. Good point, Jimmy. This is getting weird. Cue the credits. Thank you for listening to the Monster Island Film Vault. a podcast produced and hosted by Nate Marchand. Our executive producer is Damon Noyes. If you want to be heard on the show, we'd love to hear from you. So, email us at monsterislandfilmvault@gmail.com or leave comments on YouTube or Spotify. Check the show notes and monsterislandfilmvault.com for Linktree links to all of our socials, including our Facebook group and Discord server, The Markalite Lounge. Be sure to follow Jimmy from NASA and our other colorful characters on X/Twitter. Our logo was created by Rebecca Hudgens. Follow her on X/Twitter and Instagram at super_R_illustrations. Sound effects sourced from freesound.org and created by JP Gant. Our theme song is Wanderer on the Offensive, live edit by B33J, Sarax, Juan Madrano, and Nonsensical Lexus, which is a remix of Counterattack and The Open Way by Koatani from Shadow of the Colossus. Our music includes Ultraman Rap, Artist Unknown, and Chant My Name, a cover by Second Archive of the song by Masaki Endo, with additional tracks from the 4Kids dub of Ultraman Tiga. All film and audio clips belong to their respective copyright holders, and no infringement is intended or implied. Visit our TeePublic store, the Monster Island Gift Shop, to purchase official MIFV merch. Please rate and review us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and/or Podchaser to spread the word about the show. You can even support us by joining MIFV Max on Patreon. MIFV is a Moonlighting Ninjas media production and a proud member of Pod Nation and the Culture Box Network. Sayonara!